Welcome to Streetlit Audiobooks. This another story to put you on game. Life is like a sandwich. No matter how you flip it, the bread come first. Make sure to let me know where you from and subscribe. Blood don't make you loyal. Silence do. Chapter 1. Touching my first brick felt like touching God. Miami, summer 2009. The yacht rocked gentle in the government cut, tucked between Fisher Island and the cruise ship lanes like it ain't have a belly full of felony. The water out there got a different type of quiet. Rich people quiet. No sirens, no bass, no loud mufflers, just money humming on the breeze, diesel from the freighters, and the low murmur of languages that never touched the hood. From the shore, it just looked like another rich boy flex. Sleek 80-foot azimuth, pearl white with a tan leather top, underwater lights glowing blue so the fish looked like they were swimming through neon. Some retired Euro soccer star owned it on paper. A Delaware LLC owned them. Nobody could spell the company name, but the Colombians could recite the bank routing number by heart. Dee stood at the bow in a white linen fit that ain't come from no mall. Shirt open, chest out, Cuban link thick as a bike chain resting on his collarbone, cross swinging over a tattoo of his mama's name. 30 years old and looked like every trapper's Pinterest board. Clean lineup, diamond studs, pinky ring stupid. He had the kind of calm that only comes from touching more money than most people see in 10 lives. But his hands were slick with sweat. He tried to blame the Miami humidity, the way it wrapped around you like wet plastic. But that wasn't it. It was the weight of what was about to happen. 100 keys was more than a flip, more than a come-up. It was a line you ain't crossed back over. Relax, mi amigo. You look like First Communion boy, a voice said behind him. Dee turned. Don Fabio didn't look like TV cartel bosses. No gaudy Versace, no loud colors. Just a cream guayabera, pressed so sharp it could cut skin. Light khaki slacks, loafers with no socks. Gold crucifix, gold wedding band, gold watch, that's it. His hair slicked back, skin that rich Colombian coffee brown, eyes black like they'd been boiled in hate and cooled in holy water. 2 sicarios flanked him, both in faded jeans and white tees. But the way they stood, weight on the balls of their feet, hands always inches from their waistbands, said they didn't own suits because dead men ain't need them. You sure your people ready? Fabio asked, accent thick but his English clean. 100 kilos, pure, no baby lax, no creatine, no bullshit. This crossed the line for you. He said it like a warning, not an offer. Dee licked his lips, tasted salt and nerves. The government cut wind pushed yacht diesel and port funk up his nose. In the distance, a massive white cruise ship eased toward the open ocean, horns blaring like some rich people parade. I been ready, Dee said, voice steady enough. My young bull in Atlanta moving weight like UPS with no holidays. We eat this. We eat forever. Fabio watched him like he was reading something further back than Dee's face. His gaze flicked toward the city skyline, the high-rise condos stacked along Biscayne like glass bricks, planes coming in low toward MIA, cranes swinging over new construction. Miami is full of men who thought they were ready, he said. Their names live only in DEA files now. One of the sicarios stepped up and dropped a small duffel on the teakwood table, unzipped it slow, pulled out a brick wrapped in plastic and carbon paper. He slid it with a blade that looked older than all of them. The smell that came out wasn't movie Coke smell. It wasn't fruity or chemical. It was rubber gloves and gasoline and ocean rot. The brick caught the yacht's LED lights. Fish scale glitter shimmering like God just shaved off a piece of heaven and bagged it. Dee picked it up. It sat heavy in his palm, solid, cold, unforgiving. Coke dust clung to his fingertips, greasy and fine. Every brick he'd touched before this was middleman work, stepped on, cut, already touched too many hands. This was straight from the jungle, through a semi-submersible bobbing somewhere off Cartagena, latched under a fishing boat, offloaded in the dark to a go-fast with no lights. then handed to a corrupt customs officer at the port who prayed every night the Americans never figured out how underpaid he really was. Dee's heartbeat calmed the more he held it. Fear turned into ambition. Ambition turned into arrogance. He smiled. "Load the trucks." Fabio nodded once. No handshake. No good luck. He just said, "You owe me 100 by tomorrow morning. You owe my people the rest every month. If anything go missing, I don't send lawyers." He let that hang. "I send saints," Fabio finished. "Men who put you closer to God." He walked back toward the cabin, the Sicarios following, duffels in hand. Somewhere below deck, sat phones would be pinging unregistered towers, encrypted apps chirping in Spanish, numbers entered that never showed up on any bill. Dee watched him disappear and let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. He wasn't scared of Fabio. He was scared of what taking this load meant. Because up until tonight, he was a rich local legend. After tonight, he was a liability on a global scale. The route. 3 box trucks sat staged in a shadowed pocket of Riviera Beachport, tucked behind stacks of containers marked with banana logos and fake charity stamps. Haiti relief, disaster aid, church donations. Forklifts beeped as they moved pallets of avocados, plantains, and shit that had to make it to Publix before Sunday. A supervisor in a reflective vest signed off on the paperwork, never looking up long enough to match IDs. He had a mortgage 2 payments behind and a taste for sports bets. He didn't see cocaine. He saw second chances. The bricks went in under pallets of plantains, nestled in handmade false floors lined with carbon paper to confuse X-ray scanners and drug dogs. Smugglers had been perfecting that game since before Dee was born. For every truck that got caught, 100 made it through. And anyway, tonight wasn't just about smuggler skill. Tonight had help. A Haitian longshoreman named Pierre supervised the actual loading. His safety helmet sat crooked over his dreads, his vest open, cigarette hanging off his lip. He moved like somebody who knew every blind camera angle on the yard, every tired Homeland Security officer's shift pattern, every spot where the port fence sagged an inch. When the last pallet got sealed, Pierre slapped the side of the first truck twice, then looked at Dee through the chain link. "All clean, Mom, no tail," he said. Dee passed him a thick white envelope through a gap in the fence. Pierre didn't even peek inside. His eyes were on the security tower, on the customs SUV parked crooked, on the bored port cop scrolling his phone. Money felt real. Prison felt realer. He'd seen enough men leaving cuffs. "Run 'em like we rehearsed," Dee said to the drivers later, standing in the shadow of an abandoned warehouse 2 blocks from the water. 3 men, 3 trucks. First truck, Pierre himself up front because the best way to hide was to play his regular role. Legit company logo on the door, route paperwork, real distribution warehouse at the end. Second truck, Cuban-American driver, heavy set, with ball cap low and music just loud enough to say, "I don't care," but not loud enough to say, "Search me." Third truck, Cracker Jack, real name, Justin. But nobody called him that. Palm Beach white boy, 26, with surfer hair and the jittery calm of somebody who used to sell weed to rich kids and got a taste for bigger risk. He'd been moving small loads for Dee for 2 years, showed up on time, kept his mouth shut, didn't sniff the product. "Y'all run 30 minutes apart," Dee told him, pointing at each in turn. "Same playlist, same speed, don't get cute, no extra stops, no side quests. If you see blue lights, you don't panic, you don't confess. You don't consent to no searches. You make them earn it." Cracker Jack smirked. "What if they got dogs?" Dee stepped in close till they shared breath. "If dogs show up, that means somebody already sold you out. By then, ain't nothing to do but pray you don't start talking. Or pray they shoot you before you do." He clapped him on the shoulder, turned away before the kid could see the fear behind the message. Because deep down, Dee knew something every big dog learns too late. Sometimes it ain't the streets that sell you out. Sometimes it's the people with badges and flags. Miami Gardens, the warehouse. The warehouse sat off 207th Street in Miami Gardens, sandwiched between a tire shop and a business that claimed to sell party supplies, but really just fronted for stolen cigarettes. Streetlights hummed with that sickly yellow glow that made everything look like old Polaroids. The building itself was anonymous. Late 70s concrete box, roll-up doors, no signs. Inside, though, it was the whole future. Rows of metal racks, folding tables, industrial scales, heat sealers, vacuum machines, boxes of cut, rolls of plastic, stacks of Glade plug-ins for fake freshness. It low-key smelled like baby powder, white vinegar, and money. Ant stood just inside the roll-up door, dark red Dickies suit stiff with starch, chrome AK slung over his shoulder like it was part of his uniform. 6'5", built like an inside linebacker, neck thick and tatted with teardrops that weren't for show. His hair was twisted short, beard lined but not pretty. No jewelry, no flash. He was the part of the operation that didn't need marketing. "You look nervous," Ant said when Dee walked in alone. His deep voice filled the warehouse. Dee flicked his Rolex, more to keep his fingers busy than to check the time. "Nah, just focused." Ant stared at him, reading past the smile. "Colombians make you feel small, huh?" Dee chuckled, but it came out tight. "Colombians make everybody feel small till you pay them. Then they treat you like furniture." Ant scratched his jaw. "We ever think about flipping on them? Cut the route direct, stop answering their calls?" Dee shook his head immediately. "Not this deep in," he said. "Not on a 100-piece starter pack. You steal one, they ask questions. You steal 100, they show up at daycare pickup." He meant it as a joke, but a picture flashed uninvited behind his eyes. His son DJ sitting at a little plastic table, his daughter Diamond with beads in her braids, playing with markers. Dee's stomach knotted. "Trucks should be here in 20, he said, more to himself than Ant. "We in and out before midnight. Fabio gets his money tomorrow. Then it's just us and our piece." "That's the part I care about," Ant said. "Us and our piece." The first two trucks. 11:47 p.m. The first truck's headlights washed over the cracked asphalt, cut through the humid night. Ant peeped through the bullet hole in the corrugated metal like he always did, never ever opening for a vehicle he ain't verified with his own eyes. Pierre climbed out, wiped his forehead, adjusted his vest. Ant opened the roll-up door halfway, enough for the truck to back in, not enough for anybody on the street to see inside. "Any problems?" Dee asked. Pierre shook his head. "Customs busy arguing about overtime. Homeland Security too busy following the big container ships. We small fish tonight." They unloaded in silence, bricks stacked in neat rows on tables, plantains moved to secondary pallets. Worker bees, two young dudes from Carol City and one quiet Haitian kid, moved like they'd rehearsed it because they had. Every extra second with that door open was another chance for a bored cop or curious neighbor to wonder about late-night deliveries. By the time the second truck rolled in, sweat had turned shirts into rags. The AC unit in the corner rattled, trying its best. The Cuban driver hopped out, yawned like he'd been bored behind the wheel. "State trooper pulled up behind me for like 3 exits," he said, chuckling. "I almost pissed myself. Then he passed me to hit some drunk white boys in a Mustang." Ant grunted. "State troopers chase sport cars for clout. Nobody get promotions posting a box truck on Instagram." The second unload went just like the first. Efficient, quiet, fast. 2 trucks in, 66 keys, no sirens, no surprises. That should have calmed Dee down. It didn't. Because in this line of work, good luck always felt like the setup. The third truck that never came. 12:31 a.m., crickets screamed outside. A train horn moaned somewhere off on the freight lines. Inside the warehouse, the tables gleamed with plastic-wrapped bricks, shrink-wrap machines still warm. Ant stood by the door, eyes narrow. "Cracker Jack should have been here by now," he said. Dee checked his Rolex again, like the time would rearrange if he stared hard enough. "Maybe traffic," he muttered. Turnpike got construction. He might have hit a DUI checkpoint and had to... His own lie tasted sour. He tried Cracker Jack's number, straight to voicemail. "You got his girl number?" Ant asked. Nah, you know I don't do all that extra contact shit with drivers. Ant looked at him like that was supposed to comfort someone. Could be nothing, Dee said again, more defensive now. Could be he just paranoid and taking the long way. Could be the truck flipped. Could be the load pop. Could be some off-duty cop at a Waffle House noticed the weight sag and got curious. Could be a lot of things, Ant said, voice flat, just stating facts. Dee's chest tightened. He dialed again. Same result. He thought about Fabio, about the words, "If anything go missing, I don't send lawyers." He imagined Fabio getting a call from some interagency friend in a suit. "We got a truck. Your product, your middleman. Wanted you to hear it from us." He imagined those black eyes going blank. His palms went colder than the coke. "Get the Lambo truck," Dee said suddenly. "We run the route. Maybe he's stuck at the rest stop. Maybe the truck broke down and he too scared to call." "And if he flipped and the cops got him?" Ant asked. "Then we gonna find out before Fabio do," Dee snapped. A 95 Hunt. The matty black Lamborghini truck sat low on chrome 4G, an expensive overkill that attracted attention in every neighborhood it passed. Tonight, they didn't care. Speed mattered more than stealth. They hit the road with Dee driving, Ant in the passenger seat, AK resting muzzle down between his knees wrapped in a gym bag. The city blurred past in streaks of sodium orange and LED white. The gardens, North Miami, Opelika exits flying by. They ran the route Crackerjack was supposed to take. Turnpike, 595, I-95. Every mile they didn't see that truck, the pit in Dee's stomach got deeper. "Call Pierre," Ant said. Maybe he heard something on his end. Dee hit call. Pierre answered on the second ring, voice lower than usual. "You watching the news, Mom?" Pierre asked, no greeting. "No. Why?" Silence. Then, "They say truck accident by the Palm Beach rest area. Fire. Whole thing burned. State Troopers County. Some federal boys too. I don't know if it's ours, but you should stay away. For real." Ant leaned in so he could hear the tinny voice coming from Dee's speaker. "Federal? You sure?" Ant barked. "I seen the jackets when I drove past," Pierre said as stress leaked through his accent. "Dark windbreaker, yellow letters. You know the type. DEA, DHS, FBI. Those letters all spell the same thing, problem." Dee hung up without saying bye. His throat felt like it was closing. "What you think?" Ant asked. "I think we go home," Dee said, but the words felt like somebody else said them. "We don't drive past no lights, no rubberneck shit. We don't put this car nowhere near that scene. We go back to the warehouse, talk options." "Options like what?" Ant pressed. Dee gripped the wheel tighter. "Options like how to stay alive the next 48 hours. Sunrise on the shoulder." By the time they swung back toward Miami, the horizon was bleeding pink. Cargo ships offshore looked like shadow cities, lights blinking slow. Airplanes lined up on approach to MIA, tiny white dots. Dee pulled onto the shoulder for a second, killing the engine, hands shaking so bad he had to sit on them. Ant watched his brother brake without saying nothing. 33 keys, Dee whispered, at 30 a pop wholesale. That's what? Just under a meal and some change, Ant said. But money ain't the part I'm worried about. I know what you worried about, Dee snapped, but there was no venom in it. Only fear. He thought of DJ and Diamond, school pictures on the fridge, the way Diamond used to fall asleep sitting up, head bobbing then crashing into his shoulder. The way DJ would check the door locks twice before bed because he'd already seen more than most grown men. Colombians don't send overdue notices. They send examples. We could run, Dee said suddenly. Take the kids, hit Atlanta from there up to Chicago or Ohio, disappear. New cities, new names. We got enough put up to start something else. Ant let the idea sit in the air long enough for both of them to taste it. Then he shook his head. Run where they not? He asked. You think Fabio only got Miami? You think them ports in Jersey and Houston and Savannah ain't his too? You think you can hide DJ and Diamond in some suburb where a cop don't have a cousin who sniffed coke? Dee swallowed that down. So what you saying, Aunt? Aunt looked at the empty highway. The first morning commuters starting to crowd the lanes. I'm saying we go back to the warehouse, Aunt said. We move the 66 we got left, stack Fabio's money fast, then we figure out what really happened to that truck before he do. 'Cause if he hear from the feds before he hear from you. He looked back at Dee, eyes hard. They not just gonna take the kids, bro. They gonna take your tongue, your fingers, your face, then the kids. The first call. Back at the warehouse, the bricks looked different. 66 neat rectangles of someone else's power, sitting on tables under fluorescent light, each one a promise and a threat. Dee stared at them, phone in his hand, thumb hovering over a number with a Colombian country code. The sat phone Fabio gave him, the one he was supposed to use only for emergencies. This was that. He dialed. The line clicked 3 times before somebody answered. Not Fabio, one of his middle guys. Voice cool, unbothered, like he was answering a call about lunch, not life. Sigh. It's Dee, he said. We got 66 on the floor. 33 got held up. He heard the pause. Not long. Barely there. But it was all the space in the world for a man thousands of miles away to decide whether another man deserved to keep breathing. What you mean, held up? The voice asked, flat. Dee swallowed. Truck never made it in, he said. Driver not answering. Word is there was an accident on the route. Feds on scene. Silence this time wasn't a pause. It was a whole storm. You have confirmation? The voice asked. Video? Plates? Bodies? No, Dee admitted. If I pull up to that scene, it's a wrap for all of us. I figured. You figured wrong, the man cut in. Don Fabio not like surprise math. He like clean numbers. I'm not running from this, Dee said quick, fighting to sound like a boss, not a kid who lost his daddy's car. I'm telling you before he sees it on paper. We got 66 still solid. I can move it fast. We get his money right, You should not have called this phone until you had answers, the man said. Now I must call him. He will not like that I have questions instead of numbers. The line went dead. Dee stood in the quiet, phone still pressed to his ear. Aunt sat on a stool by the table, watching him like a doctor watching a terminal patient. How he sound? Aunt asked. Like I just turned the clock on my own funeral, Dee muttered. Somewhere else, another set of eyes. 2 states away, in a beige federal office with fluorescent lights buzzing just like the ones in the warehouse, a cluster of screens glowed on a wall. One showed still images from a highway shoulder outside Palm Beach. Twisted metal, flame-blackened truck frame, white-suited figures bagging evidence. Another showed a blurry satellite shot of a warehouse district in Miami Gardens. Another showed data scrolling from cell towers, calls bouncing between towers in Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. Agent Marcus Grimsley sat in shirt sleeves, tie loosened, watching a laptop window where call metadata popped up in red. Unregistered sat phone, Colombian country code. Second window, same sat phone, ping off Miami Gardens tower. He tapped his pen against his teeth. Got you, he murmured. On a separate screen, traffic cam still showed a matte black Lamborghini truck speeding up 95, then U-turning south an hour later. Different agencies saw different things today. Local troopers saw a truck fire and thought, overtime. Insurance companies saw a claim and thought, payout. News saw footage and thought, ratings. Grimsley saw something else. He saw potential, not just for a seizure, not just for a headline, for something bigger, a war. Because if there's one thing a certain type of Fed knew, it's this. You don't destroy an empire from the outside. You crack it from within. And the best way to crack it? Take a piece off the chessboard and whisper in every ear that the nearest king did it. Grimsley turned to a younger agent at the next desk. Flag this sat phone, he said. Priority. I want live transcriptions. Every call, every text, every cell tower ping. The rookie nodded. It's not domestic. It is now, Grimsley said. Trust me. These Florida boys love bringing foreign problems home. He leaned back, watching the map of South Florida light up with tiny blinking dots. Miami, Riviera Beach, Atlanta. He smiled to himself, not because he hated criminals, because he liked puzzles. And today, someone had just dumped a 1,000-piece cartel puzzle on his desk. Back in Miami, Dee put the sat phone down and looked at his brother, at the bricks, at the warehouse that suddenly felt small. Ant picked up one of the packages, turned it over slowly. You know what this is? He said. 66 keys, Dee said automatically. 2 million plus when it's chopped and stepped, depending on... Nah, Ant cut him off. This is a countdown. Every brick we touch from here on out ticking on a bomb we ain't built for a war we ain't start. Dee frowned. What war? He asked. Ant shrugged, eyes still on the white block in his hand. The one we about to find out we already in, he said. He set the brick down gentle, like it might explode. Outside, Miami kept moving. Club nights turning into hungover mornings, speedboats slicing the bay, cops writing tickets, tourists taking pictures of graffiti they didn't understand. Nobody knew yet that 33 keys went missing between Riviera Beach and Miami Gardens. Nobody but a few men with accents, a few men with badges, and 2 brothers in a warehouse, standing on the edge of a story that was already bigger than them. Dee wiped his hands on his linen pants, even though there was nothing on them but sweat. He didn't know it yet, but that ghost truck, the one that left the port and never arrived, wasn't just lost dope. It was a match. And everything in his life? His kids, his brother, his plug, his name. All of it was dry kindling waiting to see who struck first. Chapter 2. Atlanta turned me into a monster. Atlanta fall 2009, 3 months after the truck vanished. Atlanta hit different in the fall. The heat let up, but the hustle never did. Trap houses stayed open like Waffle Houses, 24 hours, no holidays, always somebody ready to fight over the last plate. Razer stood outside the Moreland Avenue Waffle House, breath fogging in the early chill, diamonds loud enough to make the streetlights jealous. He leaned against his Candy Grape 09 Camaro SS on 30-inch Forgus. Butterfly doors cracked just enough so the bass from the trunk made the concrete hum. He took a hit from the backwood, exhaled slow, eyes half-lidded but mind sharpened like barber clippers. He wasn't born in Atlanta, but Atlanta made him quick, made him merciless, made him a businessman with a beast heart. His phone buzzed. D-E-E-E calling. Razer smirked. Dee never called this early unless money or death was involved, sometimes both. He answered with his usual, "Talk to me, big bro." But the voice on the other end wasn't big. It was small, shaky, on the edge of a breakdown. Razer, I need you in Miami, tonight. Private side, planes ready. I'll cover anything. Razer's smirk faded. When last time you asked me for a favor? Razer said. Sound like you dying or rich. Both, Dee whispered. Something about the way he said it crawled under Razer's skin. Dee wasn't weak. Dee wasn't the panic type. If he sounded like this, something catastrophic happened. What you into? Razer asked, tone flattening. Dee sucked air like a man drowning. I lost a piece. Razer frowned. A piece of what? A piece of everything. That was the closest Dee could get to saying. I lost 33 keys and my soul in the same night. Razer dropped the blunt, stomped it out. All right, Razer said. How big? 100? 100 what? 100, Dee repeated softly, like the word itself was a prayer. Razer froze. 100 keys. Gone. Gone from a Colombian shipment. Gone in Miami. Gone from Fabio. That wasn't a problem. That was a warhead. How? Razer asked. Driver, truck, vanished, Dee said. Colombians on my neck. Haitians making moves. My kids ain't safe. My mama praying too loud. Nothing feel right. What you need me for? Razor asked. Dee swallowed hard enough Razor heard it through the phone. I need you to move everything I got left before Fabio cuts the water off, Dee said. Need you to wipe my name clean. Need you to buy me time. How much we talking? $200 to start, then $400 a month if you can keep Ohio, Chicago, and Baltimore wet like you've been doing. Razor didn't blink. He didn't need to. Bet, Razor said. Wheels up in 4 hours. Razor. Yeah? Whatever you heard about that missing 33, Dee said. Bury it. I can't do it. I ain't steal shit. Razor rubbed his jaw. I believe money, he said calmly. Not rumors. He hung up. The Atlanta Wolves. Razor hit the group chat, Hartsfield Private, 2 a.m., bring war bags, no questions. Argit responded, first Sailor's boss. Gorilla sent 3 gorilla emojis and 1 coffin. Lil Dre from the West Side replied, I'm sliding with the Drac and a bad bitch with better aim than both y'all. Within 30 minutes, Razor's penthouse on Peachtree turned into a staging zone. Men packing duffels full of money, guns, extra plates, burner phones, Ziplocs of Zaza, and 2 encrypted tablets. Atlanta didn't just give Razor soldiers, it gave him infrastructure. It gave him distribution veins that flowed like arteries. And most importantly, it gave him confidence. The Learjet touchdown, Opelika Executive Airport, 3:02 a.m. The Learjet's tires hissed as it kissed the runway. The door opened to humid Miami air and the faint smell of jet fuel, ocean salt, and death not too far behind. Dee was waiting at the bottom of the stairs. His chain was gone, his eyes bloodshot, his beard growing in patches like stress ate the edges first. Razor hugged him. You look like you fought a bear, Razor said. Bear won, Dee muttered. They got into a convoy of Trackhawks and headed to a trap house off 79. Inside, Razor saw it. 200 bricks stacked like LEGO. He tested a sample, bleach test, acetone test, tongue test. 94% purity. Fish scale, Razor said, smiling for the first time. Fiends gon' talk Spanish off this. Dee didn't laugh. You move it all, Dee said. Fast, quiet. Don't let anybody know it came from me. Razor studied him. You hiding something, Razor said. Dee blinked, eyes wet. Then he said the only truth he felt safe saying aloud. Fabio think I set him up. Razor's chest tightened. You believe that? Razor asked. I don't know what to believe, Dee whispered. Razor stared at him hard. Then he did something unexpected. He handed Dee a Louis backpack stuffed with $2.4 million. That's for the first load you fronted me last year, Razor said. Interest. Dee pushed it back. I don't deserve that. You family, Razor said. Family always deserve. If only he knew how wrong that sentence would one day become. The Atlanta flood. Razor didn't play with the work. He flooded Atlanta, Ohio, Chicago, Baltimore like hurricanes in fast forward. 2 weeks, 100 keys. Gone. The money came so fast Razor couldn't stack it before it formed walls. He bought his mama a Buckhead mansion, bought himself a phantom drophead with seats that looked hand-stitched by angels on payroll. Moved like a man who had God on retainer. And every night, he poured a little Remy out for the dead homies, whispering, Lord, keep me sharp, keep me loyal, keep me alive. Razor didn't know loyalty was about to be his downfall. The woman who changed everything. 3 months into the flood, Razor saw her. Magic City. Tuesday night. Red Hellcat rumbling outside like thunder in a dress. Tiana, cinnamon skin, green eyes that changed when she lied, body that made the club lights jealous, grill that flashed gold when she smiled, walk that said she wasn't impressed by money, only power. She walked right through Razor's reign of hundreds, locked eyes with him, and sat in his lap like she'd known him 10 years. You Sean Jones? She asked. Depends, he said. Who asking? She leaned in, lips brushing his ear. The bitch who can make you richer than God. By the end of the night, she was riding him in the back of the Phantom, stars shining through the open roof, Tiana whispering poison. I know where the next 500 birds landing, and I know a DEA agent who'll look the other way for the right price. Razor didn't know he just slept with a hurricane. Didn't know she was already paid by 2 different sides. Didn't know she'd be the match that lit the war to come. The devil's foreshadow. When Razor dropped Tiana off at the W Hotel, she kissed his cheek and said, "You ever lose 100 keys? Don't panic. Sometimes it ain't the streets that rob you." Razor laughed it off, but the truth, she wasn't teasing. She was warning him. Because the person who stole Dee's 33 keys wasn't Haitian, wasn't a rival crew, wasn't even in the game. It was the badge. And the badge was watching Razor's empire rise like a skyscraper built on quicksand. Chapter 3. First body I ever dropped was my own brother's best friend's plug. Miami, December 2009. Christmas lights up, Mercy turned off. Miami dressed itself up pretty for Christmas. Palm trees wrapped in lights, plastic snowflakes hanging from street poles that never seen a real winter. Suburban lawns full of inflatable reindeer and fake Santas sweating in the 80-degree night. But under it, same city, same hunger, same people hoping the year would end before their luck did. Aunt sat in old man Rico's barbershop on 22nd Avenue, tilted back in the chair, cape on, head dipped while Rico brushed his waves slow. Clippers buzzed, radio low, smell of alcohol and talc thick in the air. Outside, kids rode beat-up bikes past old heads playing dominoes on milk crates. Ant wasn't hearing any of it. He was thinking about that missing truck. It'd been 3 months and still no sign of Cracker Jack. No word from any jails, no DMV notices, no bodies pulled from canals they could confirm. 33 keys vanished like they never existed. Fabio had gone quiet. Dee had gone paranoid. Ant had gone mean. He didn't trust silence. Not from Colombians, not from streets, not from God. The cordless phone on the wall rang. Rico grabbed it with his usual Rico's Chop Shop, where fades is sharp and advice is free. His face changed mid-sentence. He covered the receiver and handed it to Ant like it was a live grenade. "For you," Rico said. "Sound important." Ant's gut clenched before he even put it to his ear. "Yeah." On the other end, Dee sounded like his throat was made of broken glass. "They got the kids," he whispered. Everything in Ant went still. "Say that again," Ant said, voice flat. "They got my kids, Ant." Dee choked. "DJ and Diamond, Fabio's people, they sent pictures." Ant stood up so fast the cape flew off, hair foam still on his lining. The shop noise dimmed. It was just his heart and the phone. "Pictures of what?" Dee swallowed. "DJ's hand," he said. "Missing his pinky, bandaged. He crying. But they ain't even cleaned the blood right. Diamond sitting next to him with tape over her mouth. They got him in some fucking warehouse chair like hostages in a movie." Ant's fingers dug into the receiver. "What they want?" he asked. "The 33, Dee said. Or the 66. Or my head. Or all 3. I don't even know no more. They say I got 72 hours before they start sending bigger pieces." Ant looked in the cracked mirror. For a half-second, he saw himself as he used to be. Skinny teenager, wide-eyed, hungry, still thinking there was a way out the hood that didn't involve handcuffs or headstones. Then he blinked. That boy was dead. "What's the drop?" Ant asked. "Little Havana," Dee said. "Warehouse off 8th. They sent an address, said come along, no tricks, no cops." "You call Razor?" Ant asked. "I ain't dragging him into this," Dee snapped. "He moving the work. He keeping us breathing with Fabio. I fucked this up, that's on me." "Nah," Ant said. "They touch your kids. That make it on us." And he dropped the phone back in the cradle without saying goodbye, looked at Rico. "Put my shit on my tab," Ant said. "You don't have a tab," Rico replied. "You do now." He walked out the shop, foam on his chin, rage in his veins. "Pulling the wolves." Git and Gorilla were already outside in a stolen Charger, engine idling. Git in the driver's seat, thin, twitchy, full of mean energy. Gorilla in the passenger seat, huge, silent, with a Draco across his lap under a folded hoodie. They took one look at Ant's face and knew. "Where we spinning?" Git asked, foot already tapping the gas. "Little Havana, 8th Street warehouse," Ant said, climbing into the back. "Colombians got these kids." Gorilla's jaw flexed. "We going in soft or loud?" Git asked. Ant racked the AK he'd pulled from under Rico's chair on his way out. Rico knew the routine. Ant paid him extra to keep fire under the shop. "We going in exact," Ant said. "No kids getting hit. Everybody else, they optional." Git grinned a little. Gorilla didn't grin at all. They moved. "The warehouse?" Little Havana at night wasn't for tourists. Away from the pastel Calle Ocho strip, it turned into a maze of old factories, storage units, empty lots. Houses with bars on every window and saints on every lawn. Dogs barked from behind fences, smell of frying pork and car exhaust blending in the air. The warehouse sat on a side street, faded Cafe Bustelo mural on the cinder block wall, roll-up door half down. A single yellow bug light burned above a side door, buzzing over a cloud of insects. Two Colombians stood by the roll-up, leaning on the wall, smoking Newports, AR pistols on slings. Git parked 3 blocks back, behind a church with boarded windows and a crooked cross. They walked the rest, hoodies up, masks ready, guns heavy. Gorilla took a breath, flexed his fingers. "Left or right?" he asked. "Left," Ant said. "Git take right. I go straight." This was the part they never said out loud. If anything went wrong, Ant was going to be the one in front of the bullets. That's how he believed big brothers should move, even as the little brother. They crossed the street quiet, slid into the shadow along the warehouse wall. Git moved first. 2 suppressed shots. Left Colombian's head snapped, body dropping before his cigarette. Gorilla took the right using a short burst from the drac with a screw-on can. The shots sounded like loud coughs, not gunfire. The man's chest folded, knees buckling. Ant grabbed the roll-up door with both hands and heaved. The metal screamed up just enough for them to slide under. Inside smelled like bleach, old coffee, diesel, and fear. Concrete floor, stacks of boxes, a couple forklifts, and in the middle of the open space, 2 wooden chairs. DJ and Diamond tied to them with duct tape. DJ's left hand wrapped in a bloody rag where his pinky used to be. Face stained with dried tears and snot. Eyes glassy from shock. Diamond's cheeks were wet, tape over her mouth, her little braids frayed where somebody had grabbed her too hard. 4 Colombians stood around them. One had a machete. Old blade, stained, handle wrapped in tape. Ant saw red, literally. Like the whole room turned the shade of his dicky suit. "Let the kids go," Ant said, stepping out of the shadows, muzzle steady. They all turned. The machete man smiled, gold tooth flashing. "You the muscle?" he asked in accented English. "Where's Dee? Where's my 33? Ant shifted his stance, sights lined up. "I'm the uncle," he said. "And you just cut my nephew. That mean you already did. You just ain't laid down yet." The Colombian laughed and lifted DJ's chin with the machete tip. "You touch a man's children, he pay attention," the man said. "Maybe now your boss stopped lying." Ant didn't argue. He fired. 4-round burst, controlled. Center mass. The machete man folded in half, intestines slipping out in a hot rope, the machete clanging to the floor. Everything moved at once. Second Colombian grabbed Diamond's chair like a shield, dragging her back. Gorilla swung wide and put a clean shot through his eye with the drac, body dropping without jarring the chair. Third Colombian reached for a pistol tucked behind his back. Git's suppressed Glock barked twice and painted the wall behind him. The last one froze. gun halfway drawn, fingers shaking, piss running down his jeans. He dropped the pistol. "Por favor," he begged. "I just work here. I don't touch kids. I just—" Ant walked up close, gun low. "This your boss spot?" Ant asked quietly. The man nodded frantically. "He got more places," Ant continued. Yes, many bodegas, many houses, many—" Ant cut him off with a shot under the chin. Skull cracked, brain matter spraying the rafters. DJ let out a muffled scream through his taped mouth. Diamond shook like she was seizuring. Ant snatched his bandana off, shoved the gun into Gorilla's hands. "Cover the door," he snapped. He moved to the kids, hands suddenly gentle. "DJ, baby girl, it's Uncle Ant," he said, voice dropping to a softer register. "We gon' get you out of here, hear me? I need y'all to be brave for like one more minute." He ripped the tape off their mouths slow, trying not to take skin. DJ cried out when it tore, voice hoarse. Diamond gasped, then started sobbing harder now that she could hear herself. "Hurts," DJ whimpered, curling his mangled hand in toward his chest. Ant checked the bandage with quick fingers. The bleeding wasn't as bad now. Whoever cut him knew how not to let him die yet. Ant felt a fresh wave of hate, but pushed it down. Later. "Gorilla, clear the back," Ant said. "Make sure ain't nobody else hiding." They moved like shadows, sweeping corners. Ant scooped Diamond up with one arm, DJ with the other, one kid hip on each side. 80 pounds of shaking, crying, trauma. He carried them out of the warehouse and into the Miami night. The fire. Getting Gorilla didn't have to be told. They knew what to do with a crime scene like this. They grabbed a 5-gallon gas can from the trunk of the Charger, the same one they kept for emergency throwaways, splashed it on the bodies, the chairs, the floor, the walls. Get dumped some on the boxes for good measure. Gorilla flicked a bic. "Gah," he rumbled. Ant buckled the kids into the back seat of the Charger, hands shaking for the first time all night. "Close your eyes," he told him. "We taking a ride. You don't open them till I say so." Diamond hiccuped. DJ bit his lip and nodded. Ant slammed the door. By the time he got behind the wheel and pulled off, the first flames were licking up around the warehouse door. They hit the highway, speed limit laughed at. Git followed in a second car, checking mirrors, looking for headlights that lingered too long. It wasn't until they were halfway up the turnpike, headed toward Broward Memorial, that Ant let himself exhale. He looked in the rear view. DJ clutched his bandaged hand, face pale. Diamond clung to a cheap stuffed unicorn one of the Colombians had probably found in the trunk when they snatched them. Ant made a promise right then, not to God, not to himself, to blood. "Anybody ever touch our kids again," he said under his breath, voice rough. "I'm making the whole state a graveyard." The message. Dee was in a hotel room in Coral Springs, curtains closed, TV on silent tuned to some Christmas movie where rich white people had fake problems. He paced, phone in his hand, mind racing through worst-case scenarios. Every time his phone buzzed, his heart jumped. Every time it didn't, it sank. When the call finally came, he almost dropped the phone. "Ant," he answered. "They safe," Ant said. "We got 'em." Dee's legs gave out. He slid down the wall to the carpet. "My babies?" he croaked. They okay?" Ant exhaled through his nose. "DJ missing a pinky. Diamond shook up. Both gonna need therapy we can't buy. But they breathing." Dee started sobbing, ugly wet sobs that pulled years of held-back pain out with them. "I'm on my way," he said. "Tell them Daddy on his way." "No," Ant said sharp. "You stay put. I'ma bring him to you. You moving around right now? That's how we lose him again." Dee wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, nodding even though Ant couldn't see him. "Who did it?" he finally asked. "Colombians," Ant said. "Henchmen, not Fabio. Foot soldiers. I left your nephew's blood all over their warehouse." "You leave any of them alive?" Dee asked. "One," Ant lied. because he didn't see the point in telling his brother every corpse he'd made that night. Long enough to tell Fabio the debt just started. He hung up before Dee could ask more. The present. 2 weeks later, Christmas Eve, a package arrived at Dee's baby mama's front door in Coral Springs. Not wrapped, no bow, just a plain white styrofoam cooler with no return address, beaded with condensation. Her first instinct was to kick it off the porch. Her second was to call Dee. He got there in 10 minutes, slippers half on, hoodie half zipped. He stared at the box like it might open itself. "Don't," she said. "Dee, don't. I don't even want to know." He opened it anyway. Inside, on a bed of melting ice, sat DJ's missing pinky. Someone had slid a tiny gold ring on it, one Dee had bought for DJ's last birthday. Next to it, written in neat black Sharpie on a strip of cardboard, "Next box come with tongues. Bring my 33rd. Dee stared at it so long his vision blurred. Somewhere, faintly, he felt his baby mama screaming. Heard DJ crying, Diamond asking what was in the box. He couldn't move. The cold from the ice crawled up his arms into his chest. That night he called Razor, not as a boss, not as a plug, as a brother drowning. "They showed me my son's finger in a lunch cooler," he whispered when Razor picked up. "Colombians playing with my babies like props. Fabio think I took his work. I got Haitians sniffing around, Fids watching my moves, and 33 bricks that never even touched my hands being used as a leash on my neck." Razor was silent for a long beat. "Where you at?" he finally asked. "Coral Springs," Dee said. "Hotel. Kids with their mama." "You strapped?" Dee looked at the handgun on the nightstand. "Always." "Aight," Razor said. "I'm sending Precious down. One person. No crew, no entourage. She quiet and she got a long memory. After that, you and me gotta talk about what we really up against." "What we up against?" Dee echoed hollow. "We up against Colombians who think I'm a thief." "You up against more than that," Razor said. "You just don't see it yet." Precious didn't look like death. She looked like somebody's little sister, 5'3", thick hips in Fashion Nova jeans, brown skin smooth, lashes long, hair under a Chanel dad hat. She stepped off a Spirit Airlines flight with a Louis backpack that cost more than her seat and walked through FLA airport like she was late for a study group. Nobody glanced twice. Not TSA, not the bored Broward sheriff leaning on a pillar, not the DEA agent sipping bad coffee 2 gates down, eyes on a tablet full of cargo seizure reports. Precious's gun, a compact .380 with the serial filed off, sat in the false bottom of her carry-on. It had flown more than most middle-class families. She met Aunt at a Waffle House off 441. He were already in a booth, back to the wall, pancakes untouched, coffee cold. "You the one Razor sent?" Aunt asked when she slid into the seat opposite. "That depend who asking," Precious said, not looking up from the menu. "Uncle of 2 kids who ain't never supposed to see what they just seen," Aunt said. "Brother of a man who got the whole South breathing heavy." She looked up then. Her eyes were soft and hard at the same time. "I'm the one that make problems disappear," she said. "But I don't do kids. That's my only rule." Aunt nodded. "Good," he said. "Because the next person touching kids, we making them disappear permanent." The counter hunt. By sunrise, 3 Colombians nobody would ever miss were floating in the Everglades, bellies bloated, throats cut, fingers removed to make IDs harder. Aunt and Precious didn't stop there. They hit stash apartments, quiet car washes, low-level distributors who thought they could hide behind a few degrees of separation. Word spread fast. Somebody was punching back. Fabio's lieutenants assumed the Haitians were doing it. Haitians assumed the Colombians were doing it. Local cops assumed it was just Christmas-time extra violence. Nobody looked at Dee as the source, which would have been perfect if the real problem had been the Colombians. But the real problem was in a Fed office with good AC and bad coffee, looking at a map of Miami and seeing chess pieces where Dee saw faces. North of Penn. While Aunt and Precious were spilling blood, Dee's baby mama took DJ to get his bandages changed at a pediatric clinic in Broward. The nurse was kind. The doctor was clinical. The intake worker took one look at the chart. 7-year-old boy, finger amputated with a blade, parents evasive, and quietly ticked a box on the computer. Suspected abuse/neglect. Mandatory report. Form 857, DHS copy. Form 857B, local copy. Digital notification to a shared interagency system. 2 hours later, a flag popped up in a database that Agent Marcus Grimsley's team scraped every morning. Palm Beach truck fire, possible narcotics load, Miami Gardens, suspected distribution nexus. Now, Broward County, minor with cartel-style mutilation, father tied to both towers. Grimsley leaned back in his chair, laced his fingers behind his head. Well, he said, somebody's life just got interesting. He clicked on a browser tab and typed a note. If we turn the heat up right, these boys gonna burn each other for us. Then he opened a new file. Target, Derek, D. Jouster, Associates. Razer, Sean Jones, Antoine Ant Jouster. Primary leverage, children. He didn't need 33 keys. He had something better. He had motive. And somewhere in Miami, a father cried over a styrofoam cooler and thought Colombians were the only monsters chasing him. He had no idea the real monster wore a badge and a tie and smiled for his annual performance review. Chapter 4. War starts with a whisper, not a gunshot. Miami, New Year's Eve, the night the city decided who would live and who would disappear. The fireworks started before the sun even dipped behind the skyline. Little Haiti blasting illegal mortars, Liberty City throwing up bottle rockets like prayers. South Beach tourists screaming every time a sparkler lit up a palm tree. But down in the basement of a worn-down duplex off Northwest 62nd Street, the Jouster family wasn't celebrating New Year's Eve. They were preparing for war. Haftitim. The basement. Aunt sat at the card table, Glock field stripped and wiped clean. Gorilla slid extended mags into a shoebox. Git packed medical kits, zip ties, burner phones, 2 walkie-talkies and a roll of duct tape. Dee stood in the doorway, hoodie damp with sweat, eyes sunken. DJ and Diamond were upstairs under watch from Precious, who paced like a mother tiger with a blade in her boot and a pistol tucked in her bra. Razer leaned against the washing machine, arms crossed, taking everything in the way generals take in a battlefield. You look skinny, Razer finally said to Dee. Dee didn't smile, didn't blink. They showed me my son's finger in a box, he said. Food ain't taste like food no more. Razer nodded once. Then let's fix your appetite. Aunt looked up from the Glock. You say the drop came from Colombians, Aunt said. You sure? Dee exhaled hard. The pictures came from a Colombian number. Accent sounded Colombian. Warehouse was Colombian territory. Who else would it be? Precious walked in from the stairs, arms folded. Could be Haitians, she said. Could be Dominicans. Could be somebody using Colombian phones. Could be an op setup. Aunt frowned. Why would anyone fake being Colombian? Razer pushed off the washer, slow, thinking. To make us kill the wrong people, Razer said. Start a war that wasn't theirs. Precious pointed at him, like she'd been waiting for someone to say it. I've been trying to tell you, she said. This whole thing feel planted, off, forced, like somebody want y'all to play pinball with bodies. Dee shook his head. Nah, he said. Fabio's men sent the kids pictures. I heard their voices. I saw the pinky. Who else would do that? Razer stepped close. Someone who needs you gone, Razer said softly. Someone who can't get close to you directly. Someone who knows if they hit the kids, they can hit your soul. Dee swallowed. What you getting at? He asked. Razer tapped his temple. Feds, Razer said. Them boys got more fingerprints in Miami dirt than any cartel. They know your routes. They know your ports. They know your pressure points. Ant scoffed. You saying the DEA cut DJ's damn finger off? Razor shrugged. I ain't saying they held the knife, Razor said, but they damn sure handed it to somebody. Dee closed his eyes, swayed slightly. Don't do that, he whispered. Don't make this some government plot. Don't make this bigger than what it is. But Razor had already made up his mind. And what Dee didn't know, what nobody in that basement knew, was that a DEA agent named Marcus Grimsley had already set the next domino in motion. The man who wanted God's job. At the exact moment Razor spoke the word feds, Agent Marcus Grimsley was standing in a parking garage 9 miles away. Dark suit, loose tie, federal badge clipped to his belt, hooded eyes, God complex. A white Buick sedan rolled up, engine rattling. A man in a blue janitor uniform stepped out. He nodded nervously at Grimsley. You got my daughter's medical bills paid? The janitor asked. Processed, Grimsley said. She gets her surgery. And the charges? The janitor whispered. You said you dropped them. Grimsley smiled the way politicians smile when they win. I said I'd handle it, he said. You handle this. The janitor opened the trunk. Inside, a bag of burner phones, a box of SIM cards, 3 envelopes with Little Havana addresses, a bag of bloody zip ties, a machete. Grimsley put on gloves and arranged everything neatly. Take these to the tip line, Grimsley said. Say you found them while emptying a dumpster behind your building. Let them think Colombians got sloppy. The janitor nodded. After this, we're done? He asked. Grimsley's smile widened. We're never done, he said. But you're paid. For now. The trunk closed. The Buick drove off. And somewhere in Miami, the seed of the next war bloomed without a single gunfire. Back in the basement, Razor felt his phone buzz. He pulled it out. Block number. He stepped into the laundry room and answered. Yeah. The voice on the other end wasn't Colombian, wasn't Haitian, wasn't from any hood. It was flat, smooth, professional. You don't know me, the voice said, but I know you. Razor stiffened. Who this? Someone who wants you to know the Colombians didn't take the 33, the voice said. Someone who wants you to know your friend Dee isn't a thief. Razor's jaw clenched. You sound like a Fed, Razor said. I should hang up. If I were a Fed, I'd arrest you, not call you, the voice murmured. But if you want truth, the 33 were never stolen by Colombians. They were seized, quietly, off books. Someone wants you angry. Razor's blood chilled. Why tell me? Razor asked. Because you're the smart one, the voice said. Because you'll stop a war the others would blindly start. Because if you don't, Miami is gonna burn. Click. The line went dead. Razor stared at the phone like it had grown fangs. He walked back into the basement. Who was that? Ant asked. Razor didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, he said, We moving tonight. Ant grit his teeth. On Colombians? Razor shook his head. No, Razor said. On anybody who think they know our next move. Precious raised an eyebrow. That's everybody. Exactly. A whisper turns into a war. In the next 6 hours, 3 Haitian stash houses were shot up by unknown groups pretending to be Colombians. 2 Colombian runners were found dead with Haitian flags stuffed in their mouths. A Dominican trap spot was burned, no survivors. Police scanners burst with activity. The news called it drug turf escalation. The feds called it an opportunity. But none of it came from Razor. None came from Dee. None came from Ant. It came from Grimsley. Every attack was done by a third-party crew Grimsley controlled through payoffs, blackmail, or threats. He wanted chaos. Chaos made paperwork easier. Chaos made juries scared. Chaos made budgets rise. Chaos made careers. And chaos would force Razor and Dee into predictable patterns. The basement. Final decision. Razor rubbed his hands together. We ain't reacting no more, Razor said. We directing." Dee looked up sharply. "What that mean?" Razor's eyes turned cold. "Ain't no 33 keys," Razor said. "Ain't no missing load. Ain't no random kidnapping. Someone's orchestrating this. Someone off the board." Ant blinked. "Who?" Razor inhaled. "Someone who don't bleed when we shoot." The room fell silent. Precious's eyes widened. "Fitz?" she whispered. Razor nodded slowly. "That phone call I just got," Razor said. "They want us to jump at shadows. They want us to go after Fabio. They want us to ignite the whole city. They want us angry, stupid, sloppy." Dee shook. "So what we do?" Razor stepped forward, hand pressing on Dee's shoulder. "We take control of the chessboard," Razor said. "We protect the kids. We keep the product moving, and then—" His voice dropped low. "We find the hand behind the curtain." Ant cracked his knuckles. Precious slid a blade from her boot. Gorilla smiled a rare smile. "Get loaded another mag." Dee wiped his face, fury rising like a tide. "Then let's go hunt," Dee whispered. Epilogue, a shadow listening. Over in his office, Agent Grimsley watched red dots move across a surveillance map. Each dot represented a jouster associate. Each line represented a tapped phone. Each notification represented a crime about to happen. He took a sip of cold coffee and smiled. "Move, little wolves," he whispered. "Move exactly where I need you." Because while Razor believed he was hunting the truth was hunting him. And the gun Razor would one day smuggle into prison, the little .22 tucked in pieces, quiet and deadly, was already being written into someone else's script. A script Grimsley intended to direct. Chapter 5. The Porsche truck job. Miami 3 weeks later, the day Razor chose wrong. Some moves you make for money. Some moves you make for loyalty. This move, Razor made it for blood, and it would haunt him forever. The lead that should have saved everyone. The sun was barely up over the palmetto when Precious came into the safe house, face tight, phone in her hand. "Razor, you need to see this." He sat at the wooden table, maps spread out, burner phones lined like soldiers, an untouched plate of eggs growing cold next to him. He didn't look up until she slapped a printed photo onto the table. It was grainy, shot at night, but clear enough. A Porsche transport truck, the kind used to move exotic cars, was parked behind a Little River warehouse. Its ramp was down. 2 men were loading long rectangular duffels into the back. Inside each duffel, bricks, hundreds of them. Razor leaned forward. "Whose warehouse?" Precious shook her head slowly. "Not Colombians, not Haitians, not Dominicans, not any local crew." Razor frowned. "Then who?" She pointed to the man in the photo. His face blurred, but Razor recognized the silhouette. The way he stood. Wide shoulders, bowed legs, cane Corso tattoo on the forearm. "Your boy," Precious whispered. "Your old partner, Mo Green." Razor's stomach dropped. Mo Green had been Razor's right hand before Atlanta made Razor a king. Mo was loyal, sharp, quiet, the kind of man who never asked for spotlight because he already had purpose. If someone like Mo was moving bricks behind Razor's back, that meant one thing. "He flipped," Git muttered from the couch. Precious crossed her arms. "Or he's scared." Razor glared at her. "Scared of what?" She leaned in. "Same thing Dee's scared of. Same thing making all Miami twitch. Forces stronger than street beef. Things that don't show up in intel." Razor shook his head. "Nah, Mo wouldn't play me like that. Unless—" His throat tightened. Unless he really believed he stole the 33. Unless he believed Razor was protecting a thief. Unless someone whispered in his ear. Son. Razor's mistake begins. That afternoon, Razor got a call from a burner, Mo's voice. "Need to talk," Mo said. "In person?" Razor stiffened. About what? Mo hesitated, a thing Mo never did. Stuff moving behind the scenes. Streets ain't ridden right. You in danger, Zeh. That was what Mo called him back in the day. Zeh, short, familiar, trust built into the letter. Razor looked at Precious. She mouthed, trap or truth. Where? Razor asked. Oh, Morena on 151st, Mo said. Warehouse 6, come along. Razor nodded. Tonight, he hung up. Precious moved instantly. No solo meets, not with anyone tied to that truck. Razor stared out the window. Mo's family, Razor said. He saved my life twice. I owe him a meet. Precious stepped in front of him. You owe him a burial if you wrong. Razor gently pushed past her. Then tonight, we find out which one it is. The setup. Night fell heavy over Miami, the kind of humid dark that made sweat stick to your eyelids. The abandoned marina smelled like old oil and broken dreams. Warehouse 6 stood alone. Corrugated metal rusted, windows cracked, the ocean slapping softly against rotting wood posts. Razor walked in slow, hands empty, heart hard. 22 pistol broken down in 4 pieces inside his waistband. Nothing visible. Mo, Razor called. A shadow stepped out from behind a forklift. Mo Green. Same wide shoulders, same calm eyes, same no bullshit stance. But something about him was cracked. Z, Mo said quietly. Razor stopped 10 feet away. We gonna talk? Razor asked. Or we gonna bleed? Mo didn't smile at the joke. I got something to show you, Mo said. He reached into his pocket, pulled out. Not a gun, not a brick, but a flash drive. Razor frowned. What's that? Mo held it like it was poison. Proof, Mo said. Dee ain't the thief. He ain't the enemy. Someone else took the 33. Razor's breath caught. Precious had been right. Mo stepped closer, offering the drive. I was gonna bring it to the bricks meet last week, Mo said. But the warehouse got hit before I could. A gunshot ripped through the warehouse. Mo staggered, blood bloomed across his chest. Razor spun around. 3 men in tactical gear, black masks, silenced rifles, not gangs, not rivals. Federal contractors, private black bag team under Grimsley's command. Shoot him, one yelled. Razor dove behind a crate as bullets shredded the forklift. Sparks flew, wood splintered, metal screamed. Mo fell to his knees. Razor screamed, Mo, get down! Mo coughed blood. They been watching. All of us. Mo gasped. The feds? They started this? Another shot. Mo hit the floor, still. Razor's chest collapsed inward. Mo wasn't just a partner. Mo was the one man who believed Dee was innocent. Mo was the only one with evidence. Mo was the truth Razor needed, now dead. By Razor's mistake. Because Razor came alone. Because Razor trusted a meat. Because Razor didn't see the bigger game. Grimsley's voice crackled through the team's comms. Kill Razor. Make it look cartel. Razor's first escape attempt. Razor grabbed the forklift keys off Mo's belt, sprinted as bullets chipped concrete around him. He jumped into the forklift, cranked it, floored it toward the side wall. It smashed through corrugated metal like wet cardboard. Razor rolled out the moment it hit the dock, tumbled toward the ocean. Bullets hissed past like angry hornets. He dove into the water, cold, deep, silent. He swam under the pier until lungs burned, then climbed up a ladder 1/2 mile down. He lay on the dock coughing seawater, chest heaving. He'd lost the flash drive, lost Mo, lost the truth. And worst, he now believed Mo was stealing the 33. Because he never saw the shooters' faces, never saw the muzzle flashes behind Missouri, never saw the real enemy. He only saw Mo fall right after raising his gun. But Mo had never raised his gun. He had raised the drive. Razor didn't know that. He only knew he'd been betrayed, or so he thought. The lie that changed everything. That night, Razor sat in the safe house with a towel around his shoulders, seawater dripping onto the floor, salt burning the cut on his cheek. Ant paste, get loaded mags, gorilla wiped down rifles. Precious watched Razor closely. "What happened?" she whispered. Razor finally looked up. Eyes dead. "Mo flipped," Razor said. "He moved a 33. Precious froze. "That ain't what you saw," she said. "Tell me that ain't what you saw." But Razor's mind twisted the memory the way trauma does. "I saw what I saw," he said. She stepped forward. "Razor, people don't move like this. This ain't Mo's style. Someone's steering this." Razor clenched his fist until his knuckles cracked. "I don't care who's steering," Razor said. "I just buried a brother tonight. Someone's paying." He stood up slow, voice cold. "Tomorrow we hit the Colombians. Full force, no survivors." Precious's eyes widened. "Razor, no! That's what they want. This ain't war. This is manipulation." Razor turned to her. "It's war now." She stared at him like she didn't recognize him. "Razor," she whispered, "you killing the wrong people." He walked past her. "No," he said, "I'm killing anybody in the way." Epilogue: The Fed Who Smiled. Agent Marcus Grimsley stood in a surveillance van across the marina, watching Razor burst through the wall in the forklift. One of his contractors approached him. "Target escaped," the man said. "Want us to track the blood trail?" Grimsley shook his head. "No, let him run." The contractor blinked. "Why?" Grimsley smirked. "Because guilt is heavier than bullets," Grimsley said. "He'll destroy himself chasing the lie we planted." He sipped his coffee. "And when he's broken enough, we'll pick him up." Chapter 6. The Raid. Miami Gardens, the day the system came for Razor. There's a sound a man hears before his life splits in half. Not gunfire, not screaming, not death. The battering ram, the metal thud that says, "Everything you built is done." Razor heard it before the sun came up. 4:17 a.m. Safe house. The safe house was quiet. Too quiet. Ant was asleep on the couch, Glock under a pillow. Git had knocked out in a chair, hoodie half on, long gun balanced on his lap like a baby. Gorilla snored on the floor, boots still on. Precious sat by the window, feet up, watching the empty street. Razor hadn't slept at all. He sat at the kitchen table, shirt off, bandaging the scrape on his ribs from the forklift crash. The TV played the morning news on mute, weather, traffic, the usual lies. Then, boom. Everything shook. Git jerked awake. Ants rolled off the couch. Precious froze. Gorilla sat straight up like someone plugged him into a generator. Boom, boom, boom. The whole front door buckled inward. Razor jumped to his feet. "Fed raid!" Precious screamed, grabbing her pistol. The lights cut out. Red and blue flashed through the blinds. Shadows moved across the lawn. A robotic voice echoed. "Federal warrant! This is the deal! Open the door now!" Git panicked first. "Yo, we gotta shoot back!" "No," Ant barked. "That's suicide." Precious slid across the kitchen floor to Razor, eyes wide. "You said Mo flipped," she whispered. "You sure you got the right story?" Razor's jaw clenched. "I ain't got time to doubt it." Crash! The front door exploded inward. Flashbang detonated in the living room, white light swallowing everything, high-pitched ringing destroying everyone's balance. Precious fell into Razor's arms. Git screamed. Gorilla charged forward. Crack! Rubber rounds hit his chest and face, dropping him like a dropped speaker. Ant fired a single warning shot into the ceiling. Crack! A beanbag round hit his shoulder, spinning him into the couch. On the ground! Federal agents. Hands where we can see them. Shields, helmets, lasers. 20 men storming the house like it was a terrorist cell. A second flashbang rolled under the table. Razor kicked it under the kitchen counter before it blew. Even through the ringing in his ears, Razor heard one voice above all others. "Jones! Sean Jones! Get on the floor!" Grimsley, the puppet master himself. Razor's blood went cold. Precious grabbed Razor's wrist. "Z, stop! They want you alive, not dead. Don't fight it." Razor locked eyes with her. He saw the fear. He saw the truth. He dropped his gun. As soon as he hit his knees, 6 agents piled on top of him, slamming his face into the tile, zip-tying his wrists so tight his shoulders screamed. Ant saw it happening and roared, "Don't touch my brother!" He lunged toward Razor. P.O.P. Taser to the ribs. He hit the floor convulsing. Git tried to run toward the back window. Crash! A shield smashed into him. Gorilla swung wildly, dazed from the rubber rounds. 4 agents tackled him, each weighing at least 200 pounds. Precious raised her hands high, gun tossed aside. "I'm unarmed! I'm unarmed!" They tackled her anyway, because that's how they do. Huh? The arrest. Razor tasted blood on the tile, boot on his neck, zip ties biting skin, knee in his back. But his mind stayed laser-focused. He scanned everything. The gear, the helmets, the patches, the spacing. These weren't regular task force boys. These were clean suit special response DEA units. This was a contract hit disguised as justice. Grimsley knelt beside him, breath calm, cologne expensive. "Well," Grimsley said softly, "you've been busy." Razor glared at him through his braids. "This about Mo?" Razor growled. Grimsley tilted his head, smiling under his breath, just enough to make Razor want to bite his throat out. "This is about everything." He nodded to an agent. "Get him up." 2 men lifted Razor, forcing him upright. Grimsley held up a printed photo. The Porsche truck. The one Mo died trying to explain. Except in this version, the Colombian's logo was photoshopped onto the warehouse. Mo was blurred differently. It was doctored. A fake narrative. "You moving stolen Colombian product through exotic car transports now?" Grimsley asked. "That's new." Razor's eyes burned. "That ain't my truck. That isn't what your people said." "My people," Razor snapped. Grimsley stepped closer, a whisper. "One of your men flipped Sean, told us everything." Razor froze. "Number, no way. Git, Gorilla, Ant, Precious?" He searched their faces one by one. All of them looked back at him in chains, confused, angry, hurt. None of them were the snitch, that meant. There was no snitch, just another lie. Another fracture Grimsley wanted to widen. Razor spat blood at Grimsley's shoes. "You started this war," Razor said, "and I'm gonna finish it." Grimsley smiled like a man hearing a lullaby. "Oh, Razor, war makes paper, and your war is going to pay my mortgage." He stepped back. "Take 'em." The charges at the federal building: kingpin trafficking, conspiracy, racketeering, assault, weapons charges, money laundering, interstate transport, attempted murder, organized criminal enterprise leadership. Every word designed to bury a man alive, every charge built from doctored intel, every line a nail in Razor's coffin. Precious tried to speak to Razor as they were separated. "This ain't the end." But the marshals pulled her away. Ant tried to lunge again, but they hooded him and slammed him into a bench. Git cried. Gorilla prayed under his breath. Razor said nothing. Because men like Razor don't break in public. They break in the dark. Razor's final mistake. In the holding cell, Razor sat alone. Concrete, steel, flickering lights. His knuckles still bleeding, wrists still burning, head pounding from the takedown. He replayed everything. Mo's warning, Mo's death, the flash drive, the doctored photo, the missing 33, the children, the fears, the warehouses, the whispered lies. And he made the worst decision of his life. He decided Dee really was guilty because the narrative fit the pain, because the lies fit the fear, because the truth had been stolen from Mo's dead hands. That belief would lead Razor to kill the wrong man in prison. That belief would cost the family everything. But Razor didn't see that yet. All he saw was betrayal. All he felt was rage. And the next chapter of his life? It wasn't on the streets. It was behind bars, where he would smuggle in the 22, piece by piece, laundry bag by laundry bag, until the visiting room massacre sealed his legend. But for now, he sat in the dark, breathing slow, becoming the monster they accused him of being. Agent Grimsley stood in his office with a cup of cheap champagne from the break room fridge. His team was laughing. Paperwork was flowing. Career points were stacking. He raised his glass to the corkboard filled with mugshots and maps. "To Razor," Grimsley whispered. "Thank you for doing half my job for me." He sipped and smiled, because he knew the next part of Razor's story would be written behind steel bars. Chapter 7. Penitentiary Phones. MDC Miami, USP Coleman, the birth of a prison legend. There are 3 kinds of men in federal lockup. 1. The ones who fold. 2. The ones who adapt. 3. The ones who take over. Razor wasn't the first 2. He walked into MDC Miami shackled wrist to waist, ankles cuffed, chain dragging like a steel spine. Orange jumpsuit, no jewelry, no entourage, just anger sharpened so fine it could cut glass. Other inmates watched him with that long, predatory stare, the kind that measured a man, weighed him, calculated if he was prey or competition. Razor kept his chin high. They could stare all they wanted. He wasn't staying long, because Razor Jones already had a plan: survive, communicate, escape, and kill the man he believed betrayed him. He didn't know the betrayal was manufactured. He didn't know the real enemy had a badge. And he didn't know tonight would be the night the .22 pistol began its journey into federal custody. Cell Block C, Day 1. Razor got a 2-man cell with a bunk bed, a stainless toilet, a sink that whined when it ran, and a slit window that showed nothing but sky. His cellie was a skinny Cuban dude named Lalo, who claimed to be in for Medicare fraud but had cartel tattoos up to his neck. Lalo looked Razor up and down. "You look like you used to be somebody," Lalo said. Razor smirked. "I still am." Lalo nodded once, understanding instantly. In prison, confidence was currency. Fear was blood in the water. "You got people?" Razor asked calmly. "In here." Lalo snorted. "Everybody got people. Question is, who got you?" Razor didn't answer, because the truth was nobody had him, not anymore. Not after Mo died, not after the raid, not after the feds cut off his outside lines. He'd have to rebuild everything from scratch, starting tonight. The phone tree. At 9:14 p.m., a CO walked right past Razor's cell and slipped a folded note under the door. Razor picked it up, unfolded it. One word: drop. He smiled. Precious got his message. The war wasn't over. It was adapting. How people communicate in federal prison. Contrary to TV fantasy, nobody sneaks smartphones in their butt every day. The real prison phone network looks like this. Stingers, homemade electric burners to power contraband phones. Bologna packs stuffed with notes. Fishing lines sent across tiers. Corrupt COs paid through Cash App relatives. Laundry bags full of misplaced property. Mail codes hidden in Bible verses. Phone cards bought with commissary or favors. And Razor, he was about to use all of them, because the note that said drop meant the package is inside the laundry. The first piece of his 22. The laundry room. Razor signed up for laundry detail by bribing a Haitian inmate named Big Noel with 2 honey buns and a promise of future power. Laundry was the safest place to hide things. Too many bags, too many towels, too many COS cutting corners. At 2:30 p.m. the next day, Razor entered the laundry room. Heat like hell, steam everywhere, dryers thumping, inmates sweating through uniforms. He searched the bins quick, pretending to sort clothes. Then he found it, a sock rolled tight. Inside, a firing pin, a trigger bar, a tiny folded paper with a message. Next piece Friday, a fee, P. He swallowed the smile. Precious was a demon when it came to logistics. She had smuggled heroin into a county jail for a year straight without ever touching the product herself. Getting a 22 into federal custody? Child's play. Razor's first prison move. That night, Razor made his presence felt. In the chow hall, a group of Aryan Brotherhood dudes took an open seat across from him. One, a big corn-fed dude with tattoos up to his eyelids, bumped Razor's tray off the table. Accidentally. It clattered on the floor. Everybody froze. In prison, disrespect isn't about food, it's about dominance. Razor stood slow. The corn-fed dude grinned. You dropped something, Miami boy? Razor picked up the spoon off the floor and stabbed the dude in the throat with it. Quick, silent, precise, not deep enough to kill. Just deep enough to send a message, I ain't food, I'm famine. The chow hall erupted. COs stormed in, nightsticks out, pepper spray blasting. Razor lay face down, coughing, eyes burning, wrists cuffed again. Didn't matter. The whole prison now knew Sean Razor Jones was not to be tested. 2 hours later, Lalo returned to the cell with a black eye and a grin. You're crazy, hermano, Lalo said. But I like it. People asking about you. You got respect now. Razor leaned back on the bunk, staring at the ceiling. Respect was step 1. Step 2 was communication. Step 3 was revenge. Step 4 was escaping USP Coleman. The Fed, who watched everything. Agent Grimsley sat in his office reviewing Razor's intake footage. When he saw the chow hall stabbing, he didn't flinch. He smiled. Good, he whispered. Good. Become the animal I need you to be. To Grimsley, Razor's violence wasn't a threat. It was a tool. Every assault charge would extend Razor's time, justify harsher transfers, justify Supermax security, push him nearer to a federal environment where escape attempts could be manipulated, turn him into the monster Grimsley needed for the eventual press conference. Razor wasn't in control. Not yet. But Grimsley didn't know who he was playing with, because Razor didn't fear prison. Razor feared failing family. And the belief that Dee betrayed him? That belief turned Razor from a businessman into a weapon. The first call from prison. On Monday, Razor finally got phone time. 15 minutes, recorded, monitored, used to bury men every day. He called Aunt first. Aunt answered from a trap apartment in Carroll City, voice thick with rage. You good? Need me to crash the courthouse? Need me to shoot a judge? Just say the word. Razor exhaled hard. No, listen. We need to think. We need money flowing. We need routes clean. They say you stabbed a dude already, Aunt hissed. You only been in a day. Razor didn't respond. Aunt took a long breath. This about Dee? Aunt asked quietly. You think he really crossed you? Razor's jaw clenched. He crossed the wrong people. And a man crossed him, he crossed me too. Aunt sighed. He didn't agree, but he didn't push it. How long you staying there? Aunt finally asked. Razor looked at the clock on the wall. Not long. Aunt laughed bitterly. Bro, it's Fed time. Ain't no not long. Razor lowered his voice. I'm leaving this place. Aunt went silent. You talking about escape? Aunt whispered. The phone recording AI perked up, but Razor didn't say the word. He said, I'm talking about going where they don't want me. Aunt swallowed. When? Razor glanced at the laundry bag in the corner, the hidden gun parts. Soon. Transfer notice. 2 days later, Razor got the paper. Transfer, USP column in Y level, high security. Reason, internal threat assessment. Lalo whistled low. Coleman? You pissed off the wrong people, hermano. Razor didn't answer, but inside, he smiled. Because USP Coleman, the Fed's Cadillac of prisons, had weak spots the COS pretended didn't exist. It had corrupt guards, blind stairwells, poorly monitored visitation, inmate-run work programs, a laundry system perfect for smuggling a 22, a building where the metal detector sometimes failed, and most importantly, a visiting room where Razor would one day walk in with a 22 tucked under the table and walk out a legend. At midnight, as Razor lay on his bunk, lights dimmed, inmates snoring, toilets flushing, a sheet slid under his door. A note, 2 words. Mo was right. Razor froze. He looked out the slit window. Someone across the tier slid back into shadows. Razor opened the note. Trust no one. Not family, not friends, not the streets. Find the truth before the truth finds you. And under it, a single number. A Miami area code. A number belonging to someone Razor had not spoken to in years. Someone who had disappeared before all of this. Someone who could still save him. Or destroy him. The name scribbled under the number, Lei, Reverend Lei, the prison pipeline, had just opened. Chapter 8. The Visit Room Massacre. USP Coleman. The day Razor became a myth. There are moments in prison that change an institution forever. A riot, a leadership shift, a murder, a lockdown. But what Razor did in USP Coleman's visiting room wasn't just a moment. It was a message to the streets, a message to the feds, a message to every set that believed he'd broken, a message to the man he believed betrayed the family. Only one problem. He was aiming at the wrong enemy. And Grimsley, the architect of Razor's destruction, was counting on that. The build-up, getting the .22 inside. Razor spent weeks preparing for this. Piece by piece, firing pin, trigger bar, springs, barrel, grip panels, lower frame, a single machined bolt, all smuggled inside laundry bags, inside commissary boxes, under mop buckets, in false bottom trash bins, in C.O. Contreras thermos, paid handsomely in Zelle through his girlfriend. The beauty of the 22 Ruger wasn't its power, it was its silence, its size, its simplicity. It was the perfect prison gun, non-metal grips, low metal signature, breaks down into pieces smaller than a toothbrush. On the night before the massacre, Razor sat on the bunk under a dim light, reassembling it carefully. Lalo watched from the top bunk, face pale. You out your mind, hermano, Lalo whispered. Razor didn't look up. They said I'm a murderer, Razor said quietly. I'ma show them what that really looks like. He clicked the final piece into place. Lalo swallowed. You know who you shooting tomorrow? Razor's jaw tightened. Anybody who thinks Dee stole from me. Anybody sent by Fabio. Anybody who stands with lies. Lalo shook his head. No, hermano. You aim wrong target. You die for nothing. Razor didn't answer. He slid the 22 into a modified seam inside his state boots. Then he lay back. At 5:16 a.m., Razor opened his eyes and smiled. The politic. Why the hits were ordered. 2 weeks before the Visit Room Massacre, a rumor ran through the compound like a wildfire. Dee told on Razor. Razor coming home soon. Colombians put a bounty on Razor's head. Razor 066. Mo tried to flip. Every rumor planted by Grimsley's confidential informants, fake inmates planted in units to stir distrust. By the time Razor's name hit the visiting list, a group of 3 men had been assigned to kill him. Oso Blanco, a Mexican shot caller with ties to an El Paso cartel. Diego Snake Peralta, a Colombian hitter with nothing to lose. Henderson Black Ice Morrow, a DC lifer known for stabbing without blinking. They weren't coming to talk. They weren't coming to greet family. They were coming to put Razor in a casket. Only they didn't know Razor had already turned the visiting room into a hunting ground. The visiting room, before the blood. Saturday, visitation day. Prisoners in pressed khakis. COs trying to look friendly. Kids clutching stuffed animals. Mothers wiping tears. Girlfriends smiling too wide. It was the only room in prison where hope lived. But not today. Razor stepped inside slow, boots heavy on the tile. CO Contreras gave the slightest nod. The signal. The metal detector had been set to sensitivity level 2 instead of 9, meaning the 22, broken into 3 pieces and sewn into boots, would pass. Razor walked through, no beep. Inside, he scanned the room. Couples hugging, grandmother setting down cakes, inmates beaming at toddlers. Then he saw them, Oso Blanco, Snake, Black Ice, sitting together at a table by the wall, heads low, eyes watching him, hands under the table. Waiting. The trap was set. Razor walked toward the vending machines like he didn't notice. Lalo, who tagged along as Razor's translator, leaned in. "They gonna hit you soon as you sit," Lalo whispered. Razor didn't respond. He cracked open a lemonade can, took a sip, then said, "Let 'em try." The first kill. Oso Blanco. Snake stood first, walked slow, pretending to go to the bathroom. Oso kept a pen in his fist, sharpened for killing. Black Ice slid a shank under the table. 3 angles, 0 escape paths. Perfect geometry for an assassination. They moved. Razor moved faster. He dropped the lemonade, let it roll, kicked it. The can skidded across the floor. Visitors looked down. Guards looked up. Perfect distraction. Razor slipped one hand into his boot, pulled the grip frame. Snake saw the motion. "Hey!" Too late. Razor vaulted over a chair, snapped the barrel onto the frame midair, and fired once. PFFT. Silenced. Quiet. Soft like a cough. The 22 round entered Oso Blanco's left eye at point-blank range. He slumped forward, dead before his forehead hit the table. The second kill. Black Ice. Black Ice lunged. Razor slid behind a chair, using it as a shield. Ice swung the shank, missed. Razor fired from hip level. PFFT. Round hit Ice in the clavicle. He roared, kept coming. Razor fired again. PFFT, round to the throat. Ice dropped his shank, choking on blood, collapsing onto a child-sized plastic chair. A visitor screamed. A CO yelled, "Code Red!" Chaos ignited. The third kill. Snake! Snake sprinted for the door to block COS. Wrong move. Razor cut him off, sliding across the floor, coming up low like a linebacker. Snake drew his own shank dash. Razor shot through his kneecap. PFFT, Snake dropped. Razor grabbed his head, whispered, "Tell Fabio, wrong man died." Then shot him under the jaw. PFFT. Snake's body shook once and stilled. The visiting room erupts. People screamed. Children cried. COs ducked behind tables. Some shouted contradictory orders. "Everyone get down!" Inmates faced the wall. Officers advance. "No, wait! Shots fired!" It was confusion by design. Razor wanted it that way. He flipped 2 tables, creating a barrier. Lalo yelled, "Z! Time to go! Vamonos!" Razor scanned the room. No more shooters. He could have run for the fire exit. He could have taken a hostage. He could have shot a CO. But instead, he walked to the body of Oso Blanco, reached into the dead man's waistband, pulled out a folded photo. A picture of Razor, with the words, "Kill on sight." Fabio's signature. Razor's vision blurred with rage. "They all lied to me," Razor whispered. "Everybody lied." But Grimsley was the real author of this script, and Razor didn't know that yet. Lockdown. COs finally rushed in with riot shields. Razor dropped the 22 pieces, raising his hands slow. He knew the drill. He needed to survive, not win. Contreras, sweating through his uniform, whispered, "Act scared, not proud. Let them cuff you." Razor nodded, allowed himself to be slammed to the floor, knee in his back, boot on his neck, zip ties cutting skin. Visitors were evacuated, kids screaming, mothers fainting. 3 bodies lay cooling on the tile. The warden arrived, red-faced. What the hell happened? How did a gun get inside? COs all shrugged. Everyone blamed everyone else. Nobody blamed Razor's mind. The aftermath. Prison legend is born. By midnight, the whole compound knew. Razor bodied 3 men in visitation. Razor had a gun. Razor unstoppable. Razor declared war. Inmates whispered like he was a ghost. Some swore he disappeared after the shots. Some claimed he dodged bullets. Some said he killed 5, not 3. Some said he was getting transferred to ADX Florence. Some said the feds were scared to move him. Every version made him bigger, stronger, more dangerous, and more isolated, exactly what Grimsley wanted. The single most important detail. In the chaos, Razor never noticed the one thing that mattered. Snake, before dying, pressed a button on a tiny device in his pocket. A covert audio transmitter, connected directly to a DEA van outside. Meaning, Grimsley heard every word Razor said, every gunshot, every whisper. And he smiled the whole time. Because Razor wasn't supposed to kill those men. He was supposed to become the monster, and now that Razor crossed that line, the next step of Grimsley's plan could begin, framing Dee for everything. Epilogue, a phone call to a ghost. That night, locked in the SHU Special Housing Unit, Razor finally got to make a monitored call. He dialed the number from Reverend Lei's note. Ring, ring, ring. Then a calm voice answered, "Razor?" Razor froze. The voice continued, "I know what they did to you. I know who killed Mo, and I know who really took the 33. Razor's breath stopped. "Who?" he whispered. A long silence. Then, "It wasn't Dee, and it wasn't the Colombians. It was them." "Who is them?" Razor growled. But the line went dead. Dial tone. Razor stood in the dark, fists shaking. For the first time, he realized he might have killed the wrong people today. And the right target, still breathing. Chapter 9. The Reverend's Truth. U.S.P. Coleman, SHU. The call that changed the war. The SHU is where hope goes to suffocate. Concrete walls sweat. Fluorescent lights hum like dying insects. Toilets flush from other cells like ghosts trying to talk. Every sound echoes twice. Once in the air, and once in your mind. Razor sat on the cold bench, hands cuffed to a metal ring bolted into the wall. His knuckles were swollen. His shirt was still crusted with the dried blood of the 3 men he killed in visitation. He wasn't shaking, but something inside him was. Not fear, not guilt. Something worse. Doubt. The phone call with Reverend Lei had cracked something in him. If Dee wasn't the traitor, if Mo died trying to protect him, if the 33s weren't stolen by Colombians, then Razor had murdered the wrong men today. And the real enemy, still alive, still moving pieces, still ahead of him. The SHU door slid open. A guard stepped in, big, white, neck thick as a tree trunk. Name tag said C.O. McCrae. "Phone time," he grunted. Razor narrowed his eyes. "Thought I used my call." McCrae smirked. Somebody paid extra. That meant only one thing Reverend Lei wasn't done. The phone. Round 2. They sat Razor in a cage the size of a closet. A single phone bolted to the wall. No privacy. Camera above him, C.O. McCrae watching like a wolf. Razor dialed the number, Lei left. This time, the line picked up instantly. "You ready?" Reverend Lei asked. Razor closed his eyes. Tell me what you know. Lei exhaled softly, like a man who'd been carrying a secret too heavy for too long. First, Lei said, you need to understand something about Dee. That boy loved you, loved the family, loved the work. He never stole anything. He never snitched. He never betrayed you. Razor clenched the receiver until the plastic creaked. Then why his kids get taken? Why the 33 vanish? Why Mo dead? Lei's voice went low. Because someone needed you blind, Z. Blind and violent. Who? You know who. Razor didn't answer. Lei continued. The feds been watching you since Atlanta. They watched Mo. They watched Dee. They watched Thomas and Tommy in the prisons. They watched every route, every safe house, every trip you made to Miami. They've been waiting for one moment, one slip, to make you into a monster they could justify destroying. Razor's jaw flexed. What they do? Lei inhaled deep. They stole the 33 themselves. Razor froze. Lei continued. They took it off the port before it even hit the truck. Off books. No paperwork, no report. They let word hit the streets that it went missing. They fed intel to Fabio's runners saying Dee took it. They leaked messages making the Haitians think you were weak. They put Mo in a position where he was the only man who knew the truth. Razor's breath hitched. He died trying to tell you, Lei said gently. He was bringing you the flash drive with proof. Razor closed his eyes. He saw Mo again, standing there with the drive, trying to speak, getting shot, not by a rival, not by an enemy, by federal contractors. Lei kept talking, Mo never betrayed you. He was trying to save you. Razor pressed his forehead against the cold metal wall of the phone box. And Dee? He whispered. The Colombians never wanted Dee, Lei said. They were sent, manipulated. The feds used a false voice message to impersonate Fabio's second-hand man. They set up the kidnapping. They cut DJ's finger using a cartel method so it would look authentic. Razor's stomach twisted. They tortured kids, Razor said quietly. They tortured kids to get me to war. Lei didn't soften it. Yes. Razor felt something inside him snap, but Lei wasn't done. And the visit room massacre? You didn't kill cartel hitters, Z. Those men you shot today? 2 of them weren't even cartel. They were federal assets, informants, paid to die if needed. Razor's heart hardened into something prehistoric. What they want, he growled. They want you desperate, violent, irrational, Lei said. They want you so buried in blood that nobody will care what really happened. They want you to kill the wrong man in prison. They want Dee to believe you coming for him. They want your family broken. Razor swallowed. Why? Lei's voice shifted. This time it wasn't gentle. It was steel. Because you boys built something they couldn't infiltrate. You built a family so loyal the government couldn't buy it. You built a pipeline that fed half the Southeast. You built unity between sets they need divided. And as long as you stayed loyal to each other, they couldn't control the world you built. Razor whispered, so they broke the loyalty. Lei said, they had to. A strong black family running a multi-state empire scares them more than Colombians ever did. Razor felt heat rising in his blood. So where Dee now? Razor asked. Lei hesitated. Running, Lei said softly. Running from you, running from the feds, running from himself. Razor's eyes narrowed. You think I want him dead? For 33 keys, for Mo's death, for the massacre? Yes. He believes you already sentenced him. Razor gripped the phone harder. And you? Razor asked. Why you helping me? Reverend Lei exhaled slow. Because somebody need to. Because Mo came to me before he died. Because he told me if anything happened, I needed to give you the truth. And because... He paused. Because the war ain't over. The real fight just starting. Razor leaned forward. What I gotta do, Lei? Lei answered. You gotta get out that prison, Z. And you gotta fix the family before the government burns it to the ground. Dee needs the truth. Ant needs direction. Precious already making moves. And the feds, they 3 steps ahead. Razor whispered, "How I get out?" Lei chuckled once. "You already halfway there." What that mean? It mean the massacre wasn't a mistake. It was the first door opening. They moving you again, soon, and transfers? Lei paused. That's where men disappear. The line crackled. "Be ready," Lei said. "Your escape route already in motion." Before Razor could speak, click, dial tone. The shift inside Razor. Razor hung up the phone. His entire world had changed shape. He wasn't a hunted man. He wasn't a betrayed man. He was a misled man. And he had slaughtered the wrong people today. He sat on the bench, breathing slow, eyes burning, not with tears, but with clarity. He spoke to himself quietly. Dee ain't the enemy. Then louder, "Mo died for me." Then louder still, "And the feds gon' pay." For the first time since his arrest, Razor saw the battlefield clearly, and he realized Grimsley had made one fatal mistake. He left Razor alive long enough to learn the truth. In his Miami office, Agent Grimsley got an alert on his computer. "Inmate Jones, requested second call, contact redacted, monitored." Grimsley frowned. He played the audio, static, voices, Razor, Reverend Lei. But half the call was corrupted. Lei had used a frequency scrambler. Grimsley slammed his fist into the desk. "Who the hell is feeding him intel?" His assistant poked her head in. "Sir, is everything okay?" Grimsley forced a smile. "Yes, everything's fine." But behind his eyes, panic flickered. Razor wasn't broken. Razor was waking up. And a man like Razor, awake, was a problem the federal government wasn't ready to handle. Chapter 10. The transfer hit. Interstate 75. The day Razor slipped out of the government's hands. There is no transport more dangerous than a federal inmate transfer. Not court day, not yard day, not even the SHU. Because in transfer, no cameras follow you. No lawyers can protect you. No prison walls contain you. And if something goes wrong, the paperwork writes itself. Razor Jones was loaded onto the bus at 4:42 a.m., wrists shackled, ankles chained, belly chain locked in place. A black hood covered his head. To the government, he wasn't an inmate. He was a liability, a ticking bomb. A man who knew too much and was starting to figure out who set him up. Agent Grimsley watched Razor walk up the bus steps from the facility gate, hands in his pockets, tie loosened, coffee in hand, smiling like this was routine operations. It wasn't. Razor wasn't being transferred for safety. He was being transferred for erasure. The bus. The transport bus rattled down AIM-75 before sunrise. Razor sat 3 rows from the back, chained to the seat pole, hood removed but eyes still adjusting. 2 other inmates were on board. Bulldog, a white supremacist from Kentucky, convicted of bombing a tattoo shop. Huey King, an old-school Florida gangster doing 30 years on a weapons case. Neither man was a threat today. The threat sat in the front. 3 COS, all armed, all stiff, all too quiet. C.O. McCrae, the same guard who escorted Razor to the phone in SHU, sat closest to him. Razor studied him. McCrae's jaw was shifting, sweat on his brow despite cold AC, nervous energy flickering in his legs. That wasn't the stance of a man guarding a prisoner. That was the stance of a man about to do something he didn't want to. Razor leaned forward slightly. "You ain't built for this," Razor murmured. McCrae stiffened. "What you say?" Razor stared into his eyes. "You look like a man who got told to finish a job he ain't qualified for." McCrae's left eyelid twitched. He looked away. Confirmed. The hit was coming. The pre-hit silence. Sunlight broke over the highway. Cars passed the transport bus in streaks. Semis thundered by. Florida roadkill stank against the asphalt. The bus swerved left. Something felt wrong. Too wrong. Huey King leaned back and muttered, "This ain't the route to Coleman." Razor nodded slowly. No signs for Ocala, no signs for Coleman. They were headed west. Razor's heart slowed, controlled, measured. He whispered to Huey, "If someone starts shooting, you get low." Bulldog overheard. "Why? What you think about to—" He didn't finish. He didn't get a chance to. The ambush. The hit came like a scene from a cartel documentary. A black Ford Raptor truck shot out of the woods at full speed, tires spitting gravel, barreling directly toward the inmate bus. McCrae shouted, "What the hell? Brake! Brake!" The bus driver slammed the brakes, but it was too late. Boom! The Raptor collided with the bus at a near head-on angle, sending Razor and the inmates flying sideways until their chains yanked them back. Glass shattered, metal screamed, the bus skidded off the road, tipping onto the shoulder. Sparks rained, smoke filled the cabin. Razor felt the world tilt. He hit the steel window bars, cutting his cheek. Bulldog screamed. Huey King gritted his teeth. The door burst open. 3 masked men wearing Kevlar stormed the bus. Not cops, not cartel. Contract assassins, government contractors, black bag operators. Same team that killed Mo Green. Razor recognized the boots. The leader barked, "Take the target only. Kill the rest." McCrae's face went white. Bulldog screamed, "The hell? We ain't done nothing." Assassin number 1 shot him in the head. Bulldog slumped sideways, blood splattering Razor's leg. Huey King shook with rage and fear. McCrae raised his hands. "Wait, I didn't sign up for—" They shot McCrae twice in the chest. He dropped instantly. Now, only Razor and Huey remained alive on the bus. The assassins pushed forward. Razor flexed his wrists. He had one chance, one opening, one mistake made by the killers. They didn't cuff Razor to the seat base. They cuffed him to the side rail. This gave him leverage, and Razor was leverage's best friend. The first kill. The assassins moved down the aisle. The leader pointed the barrel at Razor's head. "Jones, you should have kept quiet." Razor spat blood. "You should have aimed first." He lunged sideways and yanked his chain under the assassin's boot, locking it around the man's ankle. One quick twist, dash, dash. Crack! The assassin fell forward. Razor headbutted him so hard the mask split. The assassin collapsed. Razor grabbed the fallen man's pistol with cuffed hands, twisted awkwardly, and fired upward. Bang! The bullet tore through the second assassin's jaw. Huey King screamed, "Shit! Razor's fighting!" The leader fired. Razor rolled behind a seat. The bullet tore a hole into Bulldog's corpse. Razor fired back, hitting the leader's shoulder. The bus filled with smoke and echoes. Huey yelled, "Razor! They set you up! They set all of us up!" Razor already knew that. He kicked the dead assassin's knife toward Huey. "Cut me loose!" Huey slid down, grabbed the knife with his shackled hands, and sawed furiously. The leader reloaded. Razor crouched low. Huey cut the last link. Razor broke free. Just as the leader aimed, Razor tackled him into the bus windshield. Crack, crack, crack. The leader dropped his weapon. Razor grabbed him by the throat. "You killed Mo." The leader choked. Razor squeezed harder. "You cut a child." Squeeze. "You lied on Dee." Squeeze. "You framed my whole family." Crunch. Razor crushed his windpipe with one hand. The leader fell limp. Razor stood in the ruins of the bus, blood on his face, chains hanging from his wrist like broken jewelry. He looked at Huey King. "You ain't seen nothing." Huey swallowed. "Brother, I seen everything." Razor grabbed the keys off McCrae's belt and uncuffed himself. He pulled Bulldog's body over Huey halfway. "Play dead," Razor ordered. Huey obeyed instantly. Razor grabbed the fallen assassin's duffel bag. Inside, burner phones, cash, a new ID, a jacket, and a single note. Jones, terminate and dispose. Gia Grimsley's initial. Razor's face turned into stone. He stepped off the bus, sun rising behind him, forest still, blood cooling, the world quiet except for smoke and the crackle of burning tires. He disappeared into the tree line. Free. Agent Marcus Grimsley sat in his Miami office sipping a latte when his assistant burst in. "Sir, you need to see this." "What is it?" "The transfer bus. It never made it to Coleman." Grimsley straightened. "Where is it?" She swallowed hard. "They found it crashed off of 75. Everyone did. Except Razor Jones." Grimsley froze. Her voice trembled. "Sir, Razor escaped." Grimsley's coffee slipped from his hand. For the first time in his career, he felt fear, real fear, because Razor Jones was no longer a pawn. He wasn't even a king. He had become a ghost with unfinished business. And now that he knew the truth, he wasn't coming home. He was coming for revenge. Chapter 11. The Ghost of I-75. Florida Back Roads. Razor's first night free. When a federal inmate escapes, the world isn't supposed to go quiet. Helicopters should tear across the sky. News alerts should buzz phones. Police scanners should scream. But when Razor Jones escaped, there was silence. On purpose. Because the government couldn't admit what happened. Not yet. Not until they figured out how to spin it. Not until Grimsley could bury the truth in paperwork. And Razor knew that silence well. It was the same silence after Mo died, the same silence after the 33 vanished, the same silence after Dee's kids were taken. A silence built by lies. Razor wiped the blood off his face with a rag torn from an assassin's shirt and walked deeper into the woods until the highway noise faded. No chains, no walls, no bars, just freedom and fury. The getaway. He moved like a man who'd been planning this for years. He found a deer trail, followed it for half a mile, then cut left until he reached a rundown gas station off the rural service road. A dusty Ford Taurus sat parked under a flickering light. No plates on the front, back window taped with plastic. The kind of car nobody looked at twice. Perfect. Razor checked the door. Unlocked. He checked under the seat. Jackpot. A backup key taped to the frame. Most small-town mechanics did that for customers. Tonight, Razor thanked whatever blessing put this car here. He slid in, started it, and pulled out. No GPS, no phone, just instinct. He drove without lights until he hit Main Road. Destination, Miami. The streets feel a shift. Word travels faster than bullets in the American South. By sunrise, whispers slid through trap houses, corner stores, Haitian voodoo shops, Dominican barber shops, Little Havana cafes, and Ulpa Loca dice games. Razor out. Feds lost him. He vanished like smoke. He ain't dead. He coming home. In a Liberty City studio apartment, a young Zoe pulled out his phone and whispered, "Ain't nobody guarding Fabio's block today." In Overtown, an OG threw away his burner. "What did I tell y'all? You can't bury that dude." In Carroll City, Git answered 10 calls in 2 minutes. "Git, did Razor escape?" Git hung up on everyone because he had his own problem. Sam. ANTFINDSOUT. Ant stood in the middle of the trap apartment living room, phone to his ear, pacing, chains swinging off his neck. "Say that again," Ant demanded. The voice on the other end whispered, "Bro, they say Razor ain't in Coleman. They found a bus crashed, bodies everywhere, Razor gone, vanished." Ant froze. "Gone how?" Gone. Ant's heart thumped. He told the caller, "Don't say another word on this line." He hung up, mind racing. Precious stepped out of the kitchen with her pistol tucked in her waistband and a serious look on her face. "You heard?" she asked. "I heard rumors," Ant said. "They ain't rumors," Precious said carefully. "He out." Ant's breath trembled. "The feds let him escape?" Precious shook her head. "No, somebody tried to kill him on that bus. Somebody who don't want him breathing. Ant's eyes narrowed. Feds. Who else? Precious replied. Ant stared at the wall, fists clenching. If Razor alive, we gotta move Dee. Now. Precious nodded slow. He ain't thinking straight. He gonna come for the wrong person. Ant smacked his palm on the table. I'm calling him. Precious grabbed his wrist. No, Ant, no. If Razor pick up, he think you knew about Mo. He think you knew about that 33. He could snap. Ant pulled his hand back. But we can't let him hurt Dee. Dee ain't deserved none of this. Precious stared at him hard. Then we find Razor first. Dee her's the worst. Dee was in a cheap Coral Springs motel, lights off, curtains closed, sitting at the foot of the bed watching his kids sleep. DJ's bandaged hand rested on a pillow. Diamond curled up beside him, nightmares twitching her eyelids. Dee was trying to stay calm, trying to think, trying to breathe. Then his burner buzzed. He answered. A trembling voice said, Bro, Razor escaped. Dee's blood turned to ice. He what? He escaped. Killed some people on the bus. They say he coming back to Miami. Dee stood up, heart pounding, throat closing, mind spiraling. He think I stole from him, Dee whispered. He think I set Mo up. He think I took the 33. The caller didn't respond. Silence said enough. Dee stepped back until he hit the wall. His voice cracked. He's gonna kill me. He looked at his kids. Diamond's small chest rising and falling. DJ's missing finger wrapped in gauze. Dee whispered to himself, I gotta move. I gotta move now. He started packing bags, clothes, cash, papers, teddy bear, pain meds, snacks. Then he grabbed 2 things, a gun and a Bible. He kissed his kids' foreheads. Daddy ain't letting nobody hurt y'all again, he whispered. But Dee didn't know the truth yet. Razor wasn't coming to kill him. He was coming to save him. The ride. Back on the road, Razor drove south with no music, no GPS, and no distractions. He replayed Reverend Lei's words over and over. You aimed at the wrong people. You killed federal assets. They stole the 33. They tortured children. Mo died trying to save you. Razor's hands tightened around the steering wheel. If Dee wasn't the traitor, if Mo died for nothing, if the massacre was orchestrated, then Razor needed one thing, names, and Razor knew exactly who had them. Reverend Lei. But Razor wasn't heading for the church. He was heading for Miami. To regroup, to find Ant, to find Precious, to find Dee before the feds did. The sun rose behind him. Razor whispered to himself, I'm fixing everything they broke. The first stop, a safe house that wasn't safe. Razor pulled up behind an abandoned muffler shop in Opelika, one of the old stash spots he and Mo used before Miami got hot. He approached slow, pistol drawn, door cracked, lights off, smell of bleach. He entered, bullet holes in the drywall, shell casings, blood on the floor, the whole room wrecked. He noticed drag marks. A fight happened here. He crouched, touched the blood. Warm, recent. He checked the back room. A burner phone vibrating on the floor. Screen cracked. One unread message, they moving. Undy tonight. Razor's heartbeat stopped. They going after his kids, Razor whispered. He bolted for the door, got in the Taurus, started it so hard the ignition coughed, and sped toward Broward County like the devil himself was behind him. Because Razor Jones now understood his mission, not revenge. Rescue. In Miami, Agent Grimsley stood over a tactical map with a small group of agents. One pointed at a red dot blinking near Coral Springs. That's the motel Dee Jouster checked into. Local PD thinks it's a domestic case. They have no idea who he is. Grimsley nodded. And what about Razor? Unknown location, another agent said. But we intercepted chatter. He's heading south. Grimsley smiled thinly. Good. Let 'em meet. Let the brothers collide. A rookie agent frowned. Sir, you want them to meet? Grimsley looked at the map with cold eyes. One of them will kill the other, Grimsley said. And whichever survives, we bury. He leaned forward. And tonight, both sides play their final cards. He pressed his thumb to a tablet. A SWAT marker blinked. Target, Derek, Dee, Jouster and children. Location, Motel 9, Coral Springs, Team ETA. 22 minutes. Grimsley whispered, time to end this. Chapter 12. Miami midnight. Dee's last stand. Coral Springs, 11:58 p.m. The Knight brothers collided. Storm clouds rolled over Broward County like a warning from God. Wind whipped the trees in the motel parking lot. Lightning cracked above the cheap neon sign flickering Motel 9. The air tasted like metal, like violence coming. Inside room 27, Dee paced the carpet in socks, Glock in one hand, his kids asleep on the bed behind him. DJ's little hand, missing its pinky, rested on his sister's shoulder. Diamond twitched in her sleep, mumbling from nightmares she hadn't earned. Dee kept checking the window. Every car that slowed down made his pulse thump. Every footstep in the hallway made him aim the gun toward the door. He wasn't paranoid. He was hunted. He knew it. And he knew why. Razer escaped. Razer believed the lies. Razer thought Dee betrayed him. God, please don't let him hurt my kids, Dee whispered. Not Razer. Anybody but Razer. He wiped sweat from his forehead. He had always loved Razer like a brother. But now, he feared him more than the Colombians, more than the Haitians, more than death itself. Because betrayal hurts worst when it's imagined. The federal net tightens. Outside, 3 unmarked SUVs parked across the street at staggered angles. Inside the lead vehicle, Agent Grimsley sat with a tablet glowing on his lap. Red dots moved on the map. SWAT team, approaching Motel 9. Backup unit stationed on the perimeter. Sniper support on the north building rooftop. Undercover surveillance posing as guests. DHS tactical van circling the rear lot. Grimsley's jaw flexed. Where is Razer now? He asked coldly. His tech replied, he hasn't pinged. No car plates, no phone signatures. Shadow mode. Grimsley grinned. Good. That means he's close. He pressed a button on the radio. All teams, hold position until Razer enters the building and makes contact with the target. A rookie agent blinked. Sir, you want them both in the room? Grimsley didn't look at him. I want them both dead, he said. The race. Razer drove like a man who knew time was dying. Rain hammered the windshield, wipers barely keeping up. He cut through traffic at 90 miles per hour, almost spinning out on the wet asphalt. Every few minutes, he'd check the rear view, half expecting sirens. But the feds weren't chasing him. They were waiting. He didn't know that. He only knew one thing. Hold on, Dee. I'm coming. He whispered it over and over, like a prayer, like a confession, like redemption. Ant and Precious make a move. Back in Miami Gardens, Ant was pacing in a garage surrounded by engines and duffel bags full of guns. Precious leaned against the trunk of a car, loading magazines with steady hands. We gotta get to Dee before Razer does, Ant said. Before either of them do something they can't take back. Precious nodded slowly. Then we better move fast. She slammed a mag home. I got a car stashed near Broward. No plates, no VIN. We ride light. Ant grabbed 2 rifles, a shotgun, and a vest. We riding heavy, he said. Precious smirked. You always extra. But her smile faded quick. And you know what happens if Razer and Dee meet in the wrong state of mind? Ant swallowed. Somebody dies. Precious nodded. Or everybody does. They got in the Charger and peeled off. Dee's last preparations. Inside room 27, Dee knelt in front of the dresser, dragging a second gun from under a drawer. A snub revolver, his backup. He clicked the cylinder loaded. He checked the kids again. DJ whimpered in his sleep, diamond curled tighter around the teddy bear. Dee's chest cracked open. "Forgive me," he whispered. Not to God, to Razor. He didn't know Razor wasn't coming to kill him. He only knew fear, and fear breeds terrible choices. The hallway. At 12:14 a.m., Razor turned into the Motel 9 parking lot, headlights off. Rain poured hard, drumming on the roof. He cut the engine and sat still, watching. Two men in plain clothes leaned against a balcony rail on the second floor. Too stiff to be guests, too still to be civilians, agents. Razor's jaw tightened. It's a trap. But he didn't leave. He couldn't. Not while Dee's kids were here. He opened the car door slowly, letting rain soak his hoodie. He pulled a silenced .22 from his waistband, the same gun that made him a legend in the visiting room. He moved toward the building like a shadow, not fast, not rushed, just inevitable. Inside the room, dread tightens. Dee froze. He heard footsteps, slow, heavy, purposeful, not a guest, not housekeeping, and not random. He aimed his Glock at the door. His breath quickened. "Kids, stay asleep," he whispered. He placed himself between the bed and the door, ready to trade his life for theirs. The collision of brothers. Razor reached room 27. He paused. He put one hand on the wall to steady himself. He whispered, "Dee, please don't point a gun at me." He turned the knob. Locked. He knocked once. Soft. Dee's heart exploded. He raised the Glock. "Who is it?" Silence. Then Razor's voice. "Dee, it's me." Dee stepped back, tears pushed to his eyes. "Razor, don't do this," he whispered. "You think I stole from you, but I didn't." Razor closed his eyes. "I know." Dee's breath caught. You know. "I know the truth," Razor said. Dee's knees buckled. He almost dropped the gun. "Razor, don't hurt my kids." Razor leaned forward, forehead against the door, voice thick. "I ain't here to hurt nobody." A long pause. "I'm here to take you home." Dee covered his mouth with his hand, tears hitting the carpet. For the first time in months, he felt hope. He reached for the lock, and that's when it happened. The federal breach. Grimsley whispered into his headset, "Now!" SWAT stacked on the motel walkway. A battering ram came forward. A sniper aimed at the curtains. A breacher shouted, "Federal agents! Open the—" Razor heard the footsteps too late. Dee heard the shout too late. The kids jerked awake, and Grimsley whispered, "Kill them both." The explosion. Boom! The door burst inward. Splinters hit Razor in the face. Dee flew backward onto the bed. DJ screamed. Diamond cried. Smoke filled the room. Razor dove sideways, firing blind. Dee rolled off the bed, pulling the kids down with him, shielding them. SWAT fired flashbangs. Crack! Flash! The room erupted in white light. Razor roared through his teeth. Dee screamed, "My kids! Stop shooting! My kids in here!" The SWAT leader shouted, "We got the target! Take the shot!" But which target? Dee? Razor? Both? Razor saw a laser sight settle on Dee's back. He didn't think. He moved. He sprinted through the gray haze. He tackled Dee and the kids, dragging them behind a dresser as bullets ripped through the wallpaper. Dee stared at him in shock. You protecting me?" Razor pressed his forehead to Dee's. "They lied to us, bruh." Dee trembled. "You finally see it?" Razor nodded. "I see everything." Children crying between them, the room shaking with gunfire. SWAT closing in, Grimsley smiling outside, and two brothers, finally realizing they were never enemies. They were victims of the same enemy. Razor whispered, "Follow my lead." Dee nodded. Always did. Grimsley watched the carnage from the SUV. An agent ran up to the window. "Sir, shots fired. Multiple unknown casualties. We think Razor and Dee are both inside with the kids." Grimsley didn't hesitate. "Then finish it." "But sir, the kids." Grimsley's eyes went cold. "Collateral." He leaned back, closed his eyes, smiled. Because in his mind, the Jouster family was seconds away from annihilation. But Grimsley had finally miscalculated. Razor wasn't dying tonight. He was evolving. Chapter 13. Brothers Against the World. Coral Springs. The escape that should have been impossible. Gunfire shook the thin motel walls so hard, dust fell from the popcorn ceiling like snow. The room stank of smoke, fear, and desperation. Razor crouched behind the fallen dresser with Dee and the kids pressed against him. DJ was shaking violently. Diamond sobbed into Dee's shirt. SWAT boots thundered in the hallway. Laser sights darted across the smoke. Men shouted orders over one another. Razor whispered, "Dee, we got 90 seconds before they breach again." Dee nodded, clutching the children. "Tell me what to do." Razor breathed deep. This was the moment everything changed. Not the 33. Not Mo. Not the prison massacre. This. Two brothers aligned again. Two men framed for sins they didn't commit. Two targets the government wanted erased. Razor put a hand on Dee's shoulder. "We walk out this room alive, or we die together. No middle ground." Dee closed his eyes. "I ain't dying in front of my kids." Razor nodded. "Then we move." Outside, the breach prepares. Agent Grimsley stood behind the SUV door, headset on, watching the motel room through the rain. "Confirm thermal," he ordered. A tech checked a tablet. 4 heat signatures inside. 2 large, 2 small. "Good," Grimsley muttered. "Team 2 on my mark. Enter from the rear bathroom window. Team 1 stack on the door." Another agent hesitated. "Sir." "Children are in there." Grimsley didn't look at him. "Collateral," he said coldly. The room quieted. The order hung in the air like poison. The team leader swallowed hard and signaled the breachers. Inside the room. The only way out. The bathroom window was too small. The front door was a kill zone. The ceiling was impossible. The back wall led to another occupied room full of civilians. Only one path remained. Razor pointed to the floor near the bed. "We're going down." Dee blinked. "Down where?" Razor pulled up the stained motel carpet. Beneath it, cheap plywood flooring. He punched through it once, twice. On the third strike, the wood splintered. "We drop into the crawl space," Razor said. "Move under the building. Come out in the laundry shack behind the motel." Dee's eyes widened. "We'll fit?" Razor smirked. "We gon' fit tonight." He smashed more wood until there was a hole big enough for the kids. He grabbed Diamond first. "Shh, baby girl. Uncle Razor got you. No crying. No sound." Then, DJ, "Hold your sister. Don't let go." The children disappeared into the darkness. Dee went next, lowering himself into the crawl space. Razor took one last look around the room. Blood on the walls, bullet holes in the curtains the dresser overturned, the remains of a war zone. He whispered, "This ain't over." Then he dropped down. The crawl space, pitch black, cobwebs, wet dirt, floodwater up to their wrists, pipes overhead, nails sticking out the beams. Razor moved first, belly crawling through the mud, guiding the kids with one hand and the gun with the other. Dee crawled behind him, whispering, "DJ, Diamond, stay low, stay quiet." Above them, the breachers kicked in the door. Boom! Flashbangs shook the entire floor above their bodies. Dee flinched. Razor didn't stop. "Keep moving," he whispered. They crawled 20 feet, 40, 60. The crawl space ended at a cinder block wall. Dee panicked. "Z! There ain't no exit." Razor pressed his ear to the wall. Laundry shack is 10 feet on the other side. How we get through cinder block? Razor smiled slightly. This sold. Hurricanes cracked half this foundation 20 years ago. He pressed his shoulder into a weak point, and the wall crumbled inward. Cold air rushed through the gap. Razor guided the kids out first, then Dee. Then he slid through and replaced the debris as best he could. They crawled out behind the laundry shack and ran. The motel parking lot. SWAT realizes they were too slow. Inside room 27, SWAT Team Alpha stormed the smoke-filled room. But what they found made the commander freeze. No bodies, no targets, no children. The commander took off his gas mask. Sir, he whispered into his radio. Grimsley answered, Status. They're gone. The floor. There's a hole in the floor. Grimsley's blood pressure spiked. Find them. The laundry shack escape. Razor ran behind the motel with Dee and the kids right behind him. They reached the tall wooden fence that bordered the property. Razor knelt. Kids first. He lifted Diamond over, then DJ. Dee climbed next. Razor grabbed the top plank and vaulted over, landing silently in the empty backyard of a foreclosed house. 3 abandoned cars sat in the driveway. He checked the doors. First car, locked. Second, locked. Third, click, open. Razor shoved the family inside. Seatbelts, he ordered. He hot-wired the engine in 10 seconds. They peeled off just as SWAT stormed the backyard like rabid dogs. Razor didn't look back. He didn't need to. He already knew the chase had begun. On the road. Rain hammered the windshield. Kids cried quietly. Dee held both of them, whispering that things would be okay even though he didn't believe it. Razor drove, jaw clenched, eyes scanning the rear view. After 15 minutes, Dee finally spoke, voice shaking. Zoo, why you protect us? Razor swallowed. Because you ain't never been the problem. Dee wiped his face. They made you think I was. Razor nodded. I know. Dee's voice cracked. You killed them people earlier because of me. Razor didn't answer. DJ rested his head on Razor's shoulder through the seat gap. Uncle Razor, he whispered, voice tiny from fear. We gon' die? Razor shook his head. Not tonight. DJ trembled. Promise? Razor raised 3 fingers. Promise. Dee looked at him with something Razor hadn't seen in months. Trust. Ant and Precious arrived too late. At the motel, SWAT teams swarmed the building. Ambulances, flashing lights, federal suits everywhere. Ant and Precious pulled up across the street and realized instantly. They gone, Precious whispered. They escaped. Ant's eyes filled with relief, then worry. We gotta find them before the feds do. Precious nodded. We will. But her voice carried weight. If they're still alive. Agent Grimsley stood in the motel doorway, staring at the hole in the floor. His face was red, his breathing sharp, his control slipping. He slammed his fist into the wall so hard it cracked. A nearby agent flinched. Sir, orders? Grimsley turned slowly. Lockdown, Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade, he said. Highway patrol, toll booths, Coast Guard, air surveillance, everyone. And when we find them, Grimsley's eyes were pure murder. Kill them. But sir, the kids... Grimsley leaned into the agent's face. I said, kill them all. The agent stepped back, shaken, because it wasn't just hate in Grimsley's eyes, it was fear. Razor was free. Dee was alive. The truth was coming. And Grimsley's entire conspiracy was unraveling, one brotherhood at a time.
Silence do, silence do, yeah. When you've seen and heard it all, when the world crashing through, crashing, falling, and the sky about to fall, but you still stand true, stand strong, hold on, hold your breath. Hold your tongue, yeah, that's all we knew. Shh, don't say nothing, 'cause you'd rather die than break the rule. I'd die first. Where I'm from, keep it quiet, keep the circle cool, circle tight, no leaks, loyalty spoken, and move how we move. Move in silence, silence help the family grow, that's the gospel too. Growth, quiet growth. No law, no judges, just grudges in the streets. No judges, no peace. Every word is a bullet, every lie get heat. We let the guns talk back, let the money speak. Money talk, bang, bang. Yeah, this loyalty deep, this loyalty deep, deep. So deep, so deep, so deep. So don't you ever fall, don't you ever break. Don't break, don't bend. Silence is a code, that's the risk we take. Hold up silence, yeah. We built this off pain, off truth, off faith. Pain made us, they saved us. Off nights where we pray just to see one day, one more day. Blood don't make you family, silence do. Silence do, silence do. If you know, then you know what we've been through. You know. Keep it quiet, keep it close, keep it all brand new. Keep it low, keep it tight. 'Cause silence, silence, silence make a chosen few. Chosen few. Mama told me keep my heart tucked in my sleeve, 'cause the ones you love the hardest be the first to leave. Yeah, the streets raise questions that the angels can't read, so we learn to trust silence more than anything we see. We done buried too many dreams under broken nights, said goodbye to too many faces we ain't get to fight. Had to watch too many sins just to feel the light, but we still stand tall. Wrong or right, 'cause family ain't the blood, it's who bleed with you, who sit in the dark, who believe with you, who ride when it's empty, who agree with you, who never say a word but never leave you. Secrets heavy, but we carry what we gotta do. Through the pressure, through the whispers, through the shattered truth. You can measure any bond by what it walking through. And ours, baby, silence been the strongest proof. On more days we day so deep. Oh, silence been the strongest proof. On more days we base so deep. Hold up silence. Silence helped the family grow. Silence too. Silence do. Then you know what we've been through. You know. Keep it quiet, keep it close, keep it all brand new. Keep it low, keep it tight, keep it silent, silence, silence, make a chosen few. Chosen few.